You kill my brother. The man's voice trembled, his eyes bloodshot. Every day at the market, catching rats with your guns. You kill my brother. He suddenly let out a guttural scream. Blood for blood. I'll have your blood. Before anyone could react, his body convulsed violently. Bones cracked, muscles bulged, and his face twisted into a monstrous shape. In seconds, a grotesque rat creature stood where the man had been, 8 crimson eyes glaring with murderous rage. Open fire. The law enforcement officers raised their weapons and unleashed a storm of bullets. But the rat man moved like lightning, weaving between crates and pillars, bullets slicing the air behind him. The barrage was mostly for suppression. The officers weren't expecting to kill him, only to hold him off until the mechanically modified unit arrived. Unfortunately, the creature didn't know that. Driven by blind fury, it shrieked, "For my brothers!" and charged straight into the gunfire. "Chief," one officer yelled over the noise. "HQ says all mechanically modified units are on missions. They'll need at least 10 minutes to send back up. We're running low on ammo. We won't last that long." The chief cursed under his breath. Their precinct was small, street level. They didn't have the firepower for a prolonged fight. "Keep suppressing it," he ordered. "I'll bring the patrol car. Once I'm back, we'll draw it out of the city and stall for time." He sprinted out. A minute later, the patrol car screeched up beside them. Everyone in the team piled into the car. The chief slammed the accelerator, tires screaming as they sped toward the outskirts. Just as expected, the rat creature roared and gave chase, sprinting after the car on all fours, every step cracking the pavement. The pursuit lasted barely 3 minutes before a blinding beam cut through the sky. The mechanically modified human had arrived. Hovering above the road, the android opened fire without hesitation, bombarding the rat man with precision bursts. The patrol car swerved out of the way, giving a clear shot. Explosions lit up the dark countryside. Dust and smoke engulfed the area. When the ammo ran dry, the mechanically modified human descended, alloy sword in hand, and strode into the smoke to finish the job. But the creature was gone. Only a hole remained, a black, jagged opening in the ground surrounded by blood and scraps of flesh. The rat man had dug its way out and fled underground. Still, judging by the blood loss, it was badly wounded. The android reactivated its thrusters, rose into the air, and began scanning the terrain like a hawk searching for prey. Later that night, Lin Zichen's home. After dinner and a short rest, Lin Zichen went upstairs to train. His regimen had evolved far beyond basic push-ups and sit-ups. Now he trained every part of his body, fingers, wrists, neck, core, leaving no muscle untouched. For hours later, he finally stopped. He wasn't drenched in sweat anymore. His breathing was steady, just mildly fatigued. That was the result of years under the use-it-or-lose-it principle. His body had become a well-tuned machine, efficient, enduring, powerful. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, he opened his phone and checked the writer's app backend. His web novel had been running for just over 2 weeks. He'd written close to 100,000 words with steady daily updates, and his stats looked great. Over 10,000 bookmarks, hundreds of positive comments. Readers were already promising to subscribe once it went premium. The momentum's good, he thought, a small smile forming. Once I get a few more recommendation slots, the launch earnings could be huge. Feeling satisfied, he grabbed fresh clothes and hit the shower. When he emerged, towel drying his hair, the clock read past midnight. He turned off the lights, ready for bed, but then remembered something. It had been a month since he last checked his physical data. Setting an alarm for 3 a.m., he lay down and drifted into light sleep. 3 a.m. The alarm buzzed. Lin Zichen woke instantly, alert. He dressed quietly, slipped on a hat and mask, and left the house carrying his testing tools. His movements were smooth and practiced, avoiding every security camera along the way. Soon, he reached a deserted stretch of road on the city's edge. He double-checked the surroundings. Empty. Then he began his assessment. 10 minutes later, the results flashed on his device. 100-meter sprint, 3.43 seconds. Vertical jump, 7.22 meters. One-hand lift, 1750 kilograms. He exhaled slowly. His progress was solid. At this rate, he murmured, I'll break the 3-second mark next term, jump over 8 meters, lift over 2 tons. All without mechanical enhancements. Pure human evolution. If he continued like this, Lin Zichen believed he could one day stand equal to, or even surpass, the so-called mechanically modified humans and genetic integrators. He smiled faintly at the thought, then gathered his equipment and started jogging back home. On the way back, passing through a suburban garbage dump, Lin Zichen spotted movement. Someone was crouched by a heap of trash, rummaging through it. It was a man, filthy, bloodied, barely recognizable. A homeless man? Lin Zichen slowed, frowning. The man looked weak, trembling, his body covered in wounds. For a moment, Zichen considered calling the security patrol to help him. He reached for his phone, but before he could dial, the man suddenly lunged, snatching a rat off the ground. Lin Zichen froze. The man hesitated, pain twisting his expression, then shoved the squirming rat into his mouth and bit down hard. The crunch of bone echoed in the quiet night. Blood streamed down his chin as he chewed. The rat gave one last squeal and went still. Lin Zichen stood motionless, the phone still in his hand, staring at the horrific sight. Something was very wrong with this city. Brother, I'm sorry. The man's voice trembled, his eyes bloodshot and full of madness. Brother, please forgive me. I didn't mean to eat you. I was just too hungry. He sobbed as he chewed, blood and tears streaking down his face. Once I'm full, I'll offer sacrifices to you every year. I swear it. The scene was grotesque, his remorse twisted together with hunger into something inhuman. Lin Zichen frowned. Something about the man felt wrong. Deeply wrong. He quietly turned away, deciding to take a longer route home rather than pass through the garbage station. But as he stepped away, the man in the trash heap suddenly stopped chewing. He looked up, staring at Lin Zichen's back. His lips cracked into a smile that didn't belong on a human face. Brother, he rasped, clutching the half-eaten rat in his hand. I don't have to eat you anymore. I can eat people instead. The words, low and hoarse, slithered through the silent night like ice water down Lin Zichen's spine. Eat people? His face paled instantly. He bolted. In one explosive motion, he sprinted nearly 30 meters, moving like a phantom through the dark. But behind him, heavy footsteps began to thunder. Lin Zichen glanced back. The man was chasing him, and he was changing. His face split open down the middle, revealing rows of crimson eyes. Clumps of black fur burst from his skin as his body twisted, bones snapping and reshaping until he resembled a monstrous rat man. That's the lunatic from the market. Meat, the creature shrieked. I want to eat meat. I want human flesh. Drooling, howling, the half-transformed rat man lunged forward, his speed terrifying. Realizing he couldn't outrun him, Lin Zichen made a split-second decision. He spun around and kicked. Boom! His foot slammed into the creature's chest with crushing force. The rat man flew backward like a rag doll, tumbling across the ground for dozens of meters before crashing to a stop. He lay there, twitching, barely breathing. Lin Zichen's eyes narrowed. That kick should have shattered him completely. He hesitated, surprised. In his mind, rat men were supposed to be nearly invincible, able to regenerate even after being torn apart. But this one wasn't healing. Was it because he was already injured from earlier? The pieces clicked together. This must have been the same rat man from the vegetable market, the one nearly killed by the mechanically modified humans' bombardment. Either way, Lin Zichen wasn't about to take chances. He grabbed a handful of stones from the roadside and began hurling them, one after another. Thud, thud, thud. Each rock slammed into the creature's body with wet, dull sounds. Flesh tore. Bones cracked. He didn't stop. 10 stones. 50. 100. Only when the rat man was reduced to a bloodied, unrecognizable heap did Lin Zichen lower his arm, breathing hard. Still cautious, he waited several minutes, then approached slowly. When he was sure the creature was truly dead, he crouched down, holding back his disgust, and pressed a finger to the shredded remains. You have absorbed a trace of the giant mutant rat's life essence. Giant mutant rat compendium, 7%. Only 2% this time, he muttered. The last rat man had boosted his progress by 5%. Why the difference? He thought back. The one before had fused with the Rat King's genes, stronger, purer. This one was probably just a lesser variant. He decided not to dwell on it. Efficiency mattered more than theory. Lin Zichen quickly cleaned up the area, erasing any trace of his presence, and left. Dawn. When the first rays of morning light spilled over the city, the mechanically modified human searching the outskirts descended over the dump. Scanning the ground, it soon spotted a pool of torn flesh. Landing beside it, the android examined the remains and frowned. It's him, the rat man from last night. But the body had been pulverized beyond recognition. Who killed him? Deep underground, unknown location. In a pitch-black cave, a burly man carried an unconscious young woman in his arms. He laid her gently on a stone altar glowing faintly with runes. From the darkness ahead, 8 crimson eyes blinked open, each the size of a football, radiating a sinister red light. A rasping voice echoed through the cavern. Why is there only one woman? The man immediately fell to his knees, pressing his forehead to the cold stone floor. Rat God, forgive me. The young women outside are cautious now. They travel in groups and rarely go out after dark. They're hard to catch. Then bring me a man next time, the voice hissed. Yes, Rat God. A lump of writhing flesh flew out from the shadows, landing before him. The man's eyes filled with ecstasy. Thank you for your blessing, Rat God. He snatched up the flesh and devoured it greedily. Meanwhile, the woman on the altar stirred, then screamed. A thick, slimy tongue shot out from the darkness, wrapped around her body, and dragged her into the abyss. Moments later, only the wet, rhythmic sound of chewing echoed through the cavern. After a long silence, the old voice spoke again, calm, cold, and terrifying. Don't bring me commoners again. Their meat is bitter. I want the ones who live in luxury, those high above the rest. Their flesh is soft, tender, delicious.
Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support, we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
Shanghai High School, Class 1 of Grade 1. All morning long, Lin Zichen's mind wasn't on his lessons. He kept thinking about what happened last night. That follower of the Rat God cult was clearly caught by the public security officers during the day. So how'd he end up bloodied and eating rats at a garbage dump on the outskirts at night? Had he escaped from prison and then suffered serious injuries during the escape? That must be it. With these thoughts, Lin Zichen took out his phone to check the local news, hoping to find reports related to the rat-like cult follower from last night. Unfortunately, despite browsing all morning, he found no news related to it. Instead, he stumbled upon a rather eye-catching piece of news about mechanical augmentation. MetGod Corporation announced at this morning's press conference at 9 o'clock that they have developed a brand new mechanical augmentation technology. They are recruiting 500 volunteers for human trials, offering a monthly stipend and lifetime insurance. Warm reminder, this experiment comes with the risks of disability and death. A monthly stipend? Lifetime insurance? But if one were to die during the experiment, could these benefits still be claimed? If not, then this was essentially getting something for nothing. Lin Zichen pondered these trivial matters to himself. Soon enough, the bell signaling the end of class rang, and the morning's lessons were all over. The students rushed out of the classroom, racing towards the cafeteria, afraid of being late and having to queue for a long time to get food. Conversely, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan were in no hurry at all and remained seated at their desks. Just like in junior high, both of them brought lunch from home, so they didn't need to queue up in the cafeteria like the other students. A few minutes passed. Shen Qinghan put down the pen she was holding, took both her and Lin Zichen's lunchboxes, and stood up to go to the teacher's office to heat up the food. She returned shortly with the warmed lunchboxes. Lin Zichen took his lunchbox, eating and scrolling through news on his phone at the same time, determined not to stop until he found news related to the Rat God cult follower from last night. Just as he finished eating and was about to take his lunchbox to wash it, he finally came across a news article related to the Rat God cult follower on his phone. Fresh off the press, it was published by the local official media on their website. Upon opening it, he found the report contained exactly what he wanted to know, discussing the follower of the Rat God cult who was eating rats at the garbage dump on the outskirts last night. Xiao Chun, what are you looking at so intently? Asked Shen Qinghan, who had just come back from washing her lunchbox. Seeing Lin Zichen still at his desk, absorbed in his phone, and not even bothering to wash his lunchbox, she grew curious. I'm looking at news about the Rat God cult, Lin Zichen replied casually. Shen Qinghan wasn't particularly interested in the Rat God cult. Seeing the oil in Lin Zichen's lunchbox starting to congeal, she picked it up intending to wash it for him. But she hesitated and stopped in her tracks when she saw the two girls who had mocked her as a maid earlier in the corridor outside. She was afraid that if the girls saw her washing Lin Zichen's lunchbox, they would tease her about being Lin Zichen's maid again. Yet after some consideration and internal struggle, she eventually took Lin Zichen's lunchbox and stepped out of the classroom. Although it was hard to be ridiculed as Lin Zichen's maid, that was simply others' opinion, not Lin Zichen's. She could pretend not to hear it and shouldn't take it too seriously. That's what she thought, but when she actually passed by those girls with Lin Zichen's lunchbox in hand, she was still afraid of hearing the word maid. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and she didn't hear any mockery from the girls as she walked past. However, after she had gone some distance, those two girls in the corridor started to gossip about her. See, I told you she's Lin Zichen's personal maid. Now she's even washing his lunchbox for him. She's really diligent, isn't she? To be a cut above the rest, one must endure the greatest hardships. With her martial arts ability being so weak, if she doesn't put in the effort to win over the master, she won't last in the elite class. Who are you calling a maid? Suddenly, a voice rang out in front of the two girls. Both were startled, having not noticed anyone approaching them. No, nothing, you heard wrong. Upon recognizing Lin Zichen, one of the girls hurriedly defended herself. The other girl remained silent, bowing her head, not daring to meet Lin Zichen's gaze. Lin Zichen looked at the two girls in front of him. One was named Wen Yintong, the other, Chu Yushi. Both of their grades ranked at the bottom of the class, just slightly better than Shen Qinghan's. He didn't say much to them, just calmly stated, "In the future, I don't want to hear you speaking ill of Shen Qinghan again." The speaker was calm, but those listening were anything but. The girls thought to themselves that it was over. They had offended Lin Zichen, and high school would be ruined for 3 years. Furthermore, if you hear anyone else speaking ill of Shen Qinghan, please relay what I just said to them. After dropping that line, Lin Zichen turned and went back to the classroom. Watching his retreating figure, both girls breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that from now on, they definitely couldn't mock Shen Qinghan as they had before. Otherwise, if they offended Lin Zichen, life at Shanghai High School would likely become very difficult. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, the end of class bell rang, bringing the afternoon's lessons to a close. On the way home, Lin Zichen thought for a moment and eventually turned to Shen Qinghan to ask, "You've been very down lately. Is it because you heard people talking badly about you?" "That did happen, but it's really okay. I'm not down or anything." Shen Qinghan feigned indifference. Lin Zichen spoke gently. "If you encounter anything that upsets you, you can talk to me about it. We've been childhood friends. We should have no secrets from each other." Shen Qinghan nodded. "Yes, I will." After these words, the two walked on in silence for a while. Close to home, Lin Zichen asked, "Does it feel like a lot of pressure to always rank last in class?" "It is quite a bit," Shen Qinghan muttered, her lips quivering slightly with a hint of helplessness. "But physical talent is predetermined, and no matter how hard I try, I can't keep up with the rest of the class." Lin Zichen disagreed. "Physical talent may be predetermined, true, but martial arts techniques are not. Your physical talent is close to that of Wen Yuntong and Chu Yushi. If your martial arts techniques far exceed theirs, then you could defeat them on the martial stage. Can that really work? It can, Lin Zichen affirmed confidently. From now on, I'll give you special training 3 times a week, specifically to improve your martial arts techniques. By the end of the term at the latest, you'll be able to defeat the 2 of them on the martial stage. Hearing Lin Zichen's words, Shun Qinghan's eyes, which had been somewhat dim, suddenly brightened. She didn't want to continue being last in class anymore. As long as she could tear off the label of being the absolute bottom of the class, even if people still said that she got in through backdoor connections, it would be a lot more bearable for her. Your punching angle is too high. Lower it a bit. That way you can exert more force. Your legs are clamped too tightly. Spread them out a bit. You also need to adjust your stance. Don't face your opponent straight on, but at a slight angle. It was Saturday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, at Shun Qinghan's house. After finishing his training at home, Lin Zichen came over to give Shun Qinghan a special lesson, patiently instructing her martial arts techniques. Shun Qinghan was extremely serious about her learning, doing exactly as Lin Zichen instructed. Feeling that the issues had been mostly corrected, Lin Zichen said to her, "Come on, let's put into practice. Attack me with all your strength." "Okay, here I come." With that said, Shun Qinghan propelled herself forward with a strong push from her calf, quickly rushing towards Lin Zichen. She was well aware of how strong Lin Zichen was, so she didn't hold back at all and attacked with full force. Smack! Lin Zichen caught her incoming fist and said with an approving face, "Not bad. The punching angle is very standard, and the force you exerted is much greater than before." Smack! Lin Zichen caught her sweeping leg and patiently corrected her. "The posture for your sweep is incorrect. Don't clamp your legs so tightly before the sweep. Space them out a bit. Now, using the correction I just made, try the same move again. All right. Smack! Smack! Smack!" with a series of blows from punches and kicks echoing around them. Before they knew it, more than 2 hours had passed by. After such extensive training, Shun Qinghan was completely exhausted, sitting on the ground drenched in sweat and panting. But she didn't find it tiresome at all. Instead, she felt incredibly fulfilled. Because, after over 2 hours of special training with Lin Zichen, she could clearly feel her martial arts strength had improved. If before her martial arts strength was a 75, now it was at least an 80. "Xiao Chun, I think 3 times a week isn't enough. Can we have special training every day?" Shun Qinghan wanted to defeat Wen Yuntong and Chu Yushi on the martial stage as soon as possible and rip off the label of being ranked last in the whole class from herself. Lin Zichen shook his head and said, "No need. 3 times a week is already a lot. You wouldn't be able to handle it if it were every day." Shun Qinghan thought that made sense. "All right then, 3 times a week it is." At this moment, the sound of a WeChat voice message notification rang out. Lin Zichen answered the voice call, and soon Zhang Wanxin's voice came through, saying that dinner was almost ready and to come over for the meal. Shun Jinya and Su Ming, both being high school class advisors, were often too busy to come home and cook, usually having to settle for the school canteen. Under such circumstances, the couple would have Shun Qinghan go to Lin Zichen's house for meals. And today, the couple was too busy to come home to make dinner. After ending the voice chat, Lin Zichen turned to Shun Qinghan and said, "You're covered in sweat. Go take a shower. After that, we'll head over for dinner." "Okay, I'll go now." Having said that, Shun Qinghan sat on the floor and started taking off her shoes and socks, getting ready to go to the bathroom for a shower. "Xiao Chun, it's so strange. Other people's socks smell after they exercise and sweat, but mine don't smell at all." Shun Qinghan sniffed the sock she had taken off and then handed it to Lin Zichen, saying, "Smell it. See if it's true." "Smell what the heck?" Lin Zichen's mouth twitched slightly, not giving Shun Qinghan's sock even a glance. Seeing his twitching mouth, Shun Qinghan playfully laughed and said, "Just kidding, I'm not that weird to make you smell my socks. If only you could be this whimsical at school as well." "That's impossible. I only act like this around you." "All right, go take a shower, or my mom will call again soon to hurry you." "I'm going now." After leaving those words behind, Shen Qinghan got up to take a shower. Watching her departing figure, Lin Zichen slipped into deep thought. Whether it was the inability to hold urine from childhood, the aquatic talent that exceeded ordinary people, or the sweat that didn't smell bad but was even slightly fragrant. All of these unique aspects were related to water. Why was her body like this? What secrets lay within? As he wondered, his phone vibrated in his pocket. He took it out and saw a notification from the novel website's editor, stating that his book would be going live for paid access next Wednesday. Lin Zichen replied, "Got it," and then opened the Writer's Assistant app to check the novel statistics. An update for a month, 150,000 words written, and over 20,000 readers had added it to their favorites. The data was quite impressive, showing promise of excellence. Hoping that the performance would soar after going live, he wished to earn more manuscript fees, aspiring to unlock the ferocious Great Eagle album as soon as possible. With that thought, Lin Zichen posted a notice to inform his readers that the book would go live next Wednesday. Afterwards, he logged out of the author's back end and started browsing the news on his phone. After many days of effort by the Public Security Department, the number of rats in the city area has significantly decreased, earning the praise of the general public. Jishun Group has declared on its official website that it will treat, free of charge, a once genius girl with mechanical talents who has become physically disabled due to premature mechanical modifications. Capital University Genius successfully integrates exotic beast gene of the thousand-thread spider, breaking the university's record for the youngest person to undergo a second genetic fusion. Seeing the words Capital University Genius, Lin Zichen's first thought was of the prodigy from Capital City of yesteryear. He clicked on it, and indeed it was the same person. About this, he felt a bit surprised. He had looked into the genius's information before, who was only a year and a half older than him, meaning they hadn't quite reached 18 this year. Under normal circumstances, most people would have to wait until they were adults to undergo genetic fusion. Otherwise, the body wouldn't be able to handle the dominance of the exotic beast gene, and mutations were likely to occur. However, this prodigy from Capital City, now tagged as Capital University Genius, had undergone a second genetic fusion before turning 18. Such genetic talent was truly formidable. Musing on this, Lin Zichen clicked on the video embedded in the news. Watching the Capital City Genius shooting webs and swinging around the buildings like Spider-Man was pretty cool. In the meantime, Shen Qinghan came out from the shower. Now her hair was slightly damp, her fair face flushed with a hint of red, wearing a light pink skirt that just covered her knees, showing off her slender and snowy white calves, looking elegant and graceful. "Xiaochun, is your book going live?" While toweling off her hair, Shen Qinghan looked down at her phone and saw the notification Lin Zichen had just posted about his book going live. Lin Zichen responded, "Yeah, the editor said it would go live next Wednesday at noon. Then I'll go leave you a good review." Having said that, Shen Qinghan sprang into action, logging into over a dozen of her alts, and started to act as a one-woman army in the review section of Lin Zichen's book. Lin Zichen opened the author's back end and saw that in less than 5 minutes, Shen Qinghan had already switched through 17 accounts, leaving nearly 20 good reviews. Dang, what kind of army commander was she? Time flew by, and before I knew it, it was next Wednesday. Lin Zichen's novel hit the shelves that day, and he splurged all his drafts, updating 50,000 words in one go. The readers were thrilled, praising him as a writing machine. After that, he maintained a daily update of 10,000 words, continuing to delight his readers. The readers showed their support through votes and gifts. With the dual boost from regressing, if not progressing, and his gifted talents, after a month of writing exercises, he could now easily achieve 10,000 words per hour. Just spending an hour a day on writing wouldn't affect his daily training regime and was acceptable. Xiaochun, your book's performance is truly impressive. If you can keep updating 10,000 words every day, and if the plot doesn't nosedive, you can expect to earn about 50,000 in manuscript fees in the first month. Once the word count increases, earning 100,000 a month won't be a problem. Lin Yanxing said with a beaming smile on his face. Excited, Zhang Wanxin said, My Xiao Chun is truly a genius of all trades. Still in high school, and already about to out-earn his parents. With a sense of inferiority, Lin Yinsheng reminisced. I think back to my first book, which did get published, but it only had a handful of subscribers. Toiling away at writing every month, I could only earn a few hundred in manuscript fees. At this moment, both husband and wife couldn't help but be filled with emotion. A genius indeed is remarkable, achieving far beyond the average person in any field. And the effort they spend to achieve such success is perhaps less than 1/10 of what others would expend. Xiao Chun, although you're making good money from writing novels right now, your focus must still be on your studies. Don't let it affect your academics, understand? You must listen to your father on this. In this world, no matter how wealthy an ordinary person is, they can't compare to a genetic integrator who has broken free from human constraints. The couple said earnestly. Lin Zichen nodded. Mom and Dad, don't worry, I know my priorities. After speaking, he thought to himself, 50,000 a month, or even 100,000. With this income, I won't have to worry about funds to unlock the Exotic Beast album anymore. I should update more while the novel is still new to ensure the manuscript fees for the first 2 months are enough to unlock the ferocious Great Eagle album. With this in mind, for the following half a month, besides his daily training and helping Xinqing Han with special training, Lin Zichen's main concern was the performance of his novel. The better the novel did, the more manuscript fees he would earn, and the sooner he could unlock the ferocious Great Eagle album. To earn extra manuscript fees, sometimes he even wrote on his phone during class. He planned to unlock the ferocious Great Eagle album first, then revert to his original study schedule. Days went by, one after the other. On this particular day, during martial arts class, Han Yuanfeng organized an in-class sparring session to check the students' progress. Lin Zichen, as always, overpowered everyone, leaving them no chance to fight back. While earning $888, he also gained several dozen points of completion experience for his survival of the fittest achievement. In contrast, Xinqing Han still couldn't beat anyone, consistently ranking last in class. However, unlike before, she was now able to put up a fight. In the last sparring session, when facing Wan Yuntong, who ranked second to last, she was kicked off the martial stage in less than 3 seconds, ending the battle promptly. But this time, she managed to hold on for nearly 3 minutes against Wan Yuntong. It wasn't 3 minutes of defense like a turtle. It was a 3-minute exchange of attacks with Wan Yuntong. She landed several punches and kicks. Seeing this, Han Yuanfeng praised her for her significant improvement, encouraging her to keep it up. Time passed by the second. Just before class ended, Han Yuanfeng said to the class, "In a month, we'll challenge the strongest key class of the second year. Our goal is to take down everyone except the top 3 in their class. Do we have the confidence to do that?" "Yes," the students replied in unison, their voices loud and clear. Pleased with the answer, Han Yuanfeng wore a satisfied smile. Afterward, he called over the 4 strongest students in the class and patiently explained to them the high-end combat power in the top-ranked second-year class. Soon, the bell signaling the end of class rang. Lin Zichen didn't leave school, but returned to the classroom with Xinqing Han, Li Chuxin, and Hiyu. Today, it was their group's turn to be on duty, so they had to go back and clean the classroom. You and your teammates cleaned the blackboard together. Cumulative tasks completed +1. You and your teammates swept the floor clean. Cumulative tasks completed +1. You and your teammates arranged the desks neatly. Cumulative tasks completed +1. Damn, finally finished cleaning up. As he arranged the last desk in the classroom, Hiyu exclaimed as if a heavy burden had been lifted off him. Then he couldn't help but complain. "Come on, Zichun, you're too responsible. Other groups just sweep the floor and call a day. And here you are mopping and arranging desks too, making us work every time." Li Chuxin gave him a disdainful look. "If you're so reluctant, then don't do it. No one is forcing you." Hiyu, with his legs crossed and looking like a boss, said, "That's not okay. The 4 of us are a team. We either all do it, or none of us do it. I don't want to be a lone wolf. Lin Zichen, this is on me. I made everyone work harder because of personal reasons. To make it up, I'll treat you all to bubble tea later. Upon hearing this, Hiyu immediately stopped complaining and became all smiles. Zichun, no, foster father. How can I accept that? Lin Zichun simply smiled and did not speak. Then, with a thought, he looked into the void to check the progress of the social animal achievement. In the premise of cooperation with multiple people, complete tasks cumulatively 1,000 times. Reward. Acquire biometric attribute, social animal. Cumulative tasks completed, 608/1000. Only 392 to go. If he kept diligent, he could complete it in another month. I wonder what the effect of the social animal biometric attribute is. Lin Zichun pondered silently as he looked at the text in front of him. Just at that moment, Li Chuxin, who was fine just a moment ago, suddenly started crying on the desk, softly sobbing. Shun Qinghan, upon seeing this, asked with concern, Chu Xan, why are you crying? Li Chuxin raised her head, wiping tears as she spoke. My mom just messaged me on WeChat to tell me that my cat, the one that could do backflips, accidentally fell from the balcony and died. It's just a cat. Is it worth crying over? He said, clearly not understanding. Li Chuxin glared at him in response. Someone heartless like you will never understand the bond between a cat and its owner. Ah, right, I wouldn't understand, he replied, taking out a tissue and handing it to her. Stop crying, here, wipe your tears. Li Chuxin took the tissue, her eyes red from crying, somewhat surprised. I didn't expect a guy who's always blustering to hand a tissue to a girl to wipe her tears. Quite the gentleman. After saying this, she took the tissue to wipe her tears, but as she did, she felt something was off. She looked at Hiyu with a puzzled face. Why does your tissue smell odd? That's one I had left over from the toilet this morning. Hiyu replied frankly. Ugh. Li Chuxin went from sad to disgusted in an instant. When they parted ways, Hiyu, his face sporting a handprint, cheerfully said to the three of them, By the way, my family's first martial arts gym in Shanghai City is going to have its grand opening in a few days. You three have to come and show some support. I'll give you the Supreme VIP membership cards for free. Definitely next time. X3. Before I knew it, more than a month had passed since the novel was put on the shelf. The royalties for the first month were released. It was over 80,000 yuan. Lin Zichun looked at the figure and felt somewhat excited. His parents, standing by, were even more excited than him, saying that a genius is a genius, excellent at everything. Xiao Chun, take this bank card. Your author account is linked to this card. Once the website transfers the royalties in a few days, the money will be deposited here. Lin Yinxing handed over a bank card to Lin Zichun and continued. As for the royalties, since you earned them yourself, you get to decide how to spend them. You can do whatever you want, and Mom and Dad won't ask too many questions. Lin Zichun took the bank card and nodded to show he understood. A few days later, when the royalties were transferred to his account, he immediately headed to the mall with the intention to purchase and consume violent Great Eagle meat. This time, he didn't go straight to the landlord uncle to ask for help with the purchase, but instead went to the counter to ask the salesperson if there was a discount for buying a large amount of exotic beast meat. Then, he was told there was a discount, saying that a bulk purchase of 100 pounds would get a 5% discount. With this information, Lin Zichun decided not to buy just yet, thinking he would wait until he had saved enough to buy 100 pounds at once. After all, it was just a matter of next month. The next day, school. As soon as the bell rang for the end of class, Lin Zichun and Shun Qinghan hurried to the cafeteria. Just a few days before, a new stir-fry window had opened in the cafeteria, and many students said the chef's dishes were really fragrant and delicious. When Shun Qinghan learned about this yesterday, she told Lin Zichun she wanted to try it. Lin Zichun agreed. So, both of them intentionally didn't bring lunch today, wanted to eat at the cafeteria instead. Lin Zichun and Shun Qinghan walked quickly. When they arrived at the cafeteria, there weren't many people queuing up. Seeing this, Shun Qinghan hurriedly ran to the stir-fry window with Lin Zichun and ordered 1 meat and 2 vegetable dishes, 3 dishes in total. Since they arrived early and didn't need to queue, it took less than 20 minutes for their 3 dishes to be cooked. Lin Zichen and Shun Qinghan, holding their dishes, casually found an empty spot to sit down and start eating. While they were eating, a long queue started to form in the cafeteria. Xiao Chun, it's good that we came early, otherwise we would have to join a long queue now. Seeing the food line stretching almost out of the cafeteria door, Shun Qinghan couldn't help feeling fortunate. Lin Zichen, not one for many words, simply said, "Indeed." Just then, a commotion erupted from one of the food lines at the front. "Why are you cutting in line? Go back to the end." "I'm not cutting in line. My desk mate saved this spot for me." "You think you can reserve a place in the queue for someone? What a joke. Cutting is cutting. Get out and line up at the back." "So what if I cut in line? I'm cutting in front of my desk mate. It's none of your damn business." "Are you an idiot? Your desk mate is in front of me. How is cutting in front of your desk mate any different from cutting in front of me? I just did. What are you going to do about it?" Amid the arguing, Lin Zichen recognized Hiyu's voice. Looking in the direction of the noise, sure enough, it was Hiyu having a dispute with someone. On closer inspection, it seemed that Hiyu was upset about someone cutting in line in front of him and was giving the other person an earful. "Xiao Chun, Hiyu is arguing with someone. Should we go over and see what's happening?" Shun Qinghan also noticed Hiyu and, seeing that he was the one being cut in front of, thought about whether to support him or not. Lin Zichen said indifferently, "We shouldn't be needed. Hiyu has a fierce presence. The guy who jumped the queue got coward." And indeed, that was the case. The queue jumper, being in the wrong, couldn't out-talk Hiyu and quickly left the line. Just when everyone thought the matter was over. Suddenly, several boys from a neighboring line left their own queue and walked straight towards Hiyu, taking the person who had just been scolded for jumping the queue and cut in front of Hiyu. Hiyu was stunned for a moment, then became somewhat angry out of embarrassment. "What do you think you're doing?" "Nothing much, just purely wanting to cut in front of you," said the person ahead of him, arrogantly without turning back. Hiyu was infuriated and immediately tried to push all the queue jumpers out. However, upon pushing, he found he couldn't budge them at all. The queue jumpers were far stronger than him. Seeing this, Lin Zichen no longer sat motionless and immediately got up and walked towards Hiyu. He approached Hiyu, looked at the people in front of him, and said indifferently, "Out." One of them retorted arrogantly, "What can you do if I don't leave?" Lin Zichen took out his phone, turned on the recording, and captured the queue jumping group, saying coolly, "I will report you." Upon hearing this, their faces changed, not expecting Lin Zichen to be so shameless. Normally, students resolve conflicts themselves to save face, without involving teachers or school leaders. Who would act without martial ethics like this? Soon, the group left the queue, no longer daring to cut in, afraid of being reported on video. As they passed by Lin Zichen, one of them said, disdainfully, "Playing this reporting game is disgraceful." Lin Zichen replied, "I find the act of queue jumping even more disgraceful." The person was at a loss for words, feeling humiliated, and swiftly left. The others left just as quickly. Shanghai City. Inside a villa in the affluent district, the Rat God cult sect hierarch summoned all his followers for a meeting. There weren't many of them, just over 20. Seeing that everyone was present, the Rat God cult sect hierarch began, "Stupid Strong is dead. He went crazy a while back and messed with the security team at the market and ended up losing his life." Someone clapped and cheered upon hearing this. Good riddance to that fool. He was always causing trouble with his madness. I've wanted him dead for a while. He would have implicated us sooner or later. The Rat God cult sect hierarch ignored him and turned to call a young man standing behind him. Then he introduced to the crowd, "This young man is a newcomer. He will take Stupid Strong's place. Everyone gets to know him." After finishing the introductions, he continued, "Also, the Rat God has conveyed to me that ordinary people are too pitiful and not tasty. From now on, we should target the nobility and higher-ups. Everyone should be aware so we don't bring the wrong sacrifices later." Someone raised a question, sect hierarch. "It's too risky to snatch the high and mighty." Another person added, "Yes, sect hierarch, it doesn't matter if one or two ordinary people go missing, but if a noble disappears, it might cause a big issue." The Rat God cult sect hierarch said, Try to choose the sons of wealthy businessmen with no power. The risk will be much lower that way. After speaking, he turned to the newcomer. Since you're new, you don't have to snatch the noble ones yet. First, snatch a handsome, ordinary young male to practice. Later, offer him to one of the rat god's divine sons as a sacrifice. The newcomer was puzzled. Sect hierarch. Why does it have to be someone handsome? Wouldn't an ugly one suffice? The rat god cult sect hierarch replied, because the rat god likes beautiful things. I see. The newcomer nodded and then confidently said, Don't worry, sect hierarch. I'll present the most handsome sacrifice in the entire city to the divine son. Several days had passed since the last cafeteria line-cutting incident. That day, as soon as Yu arrived at school, he brought the matter up to Lin Zichen, saying with an indignant face, I've been looking into it for several days, and I finally figured out which class those who cut in my line the other day belong to. You might not believe it, but those people are actually from Class 3 Senior Year 2, the top key class we're about to challenge. As he spoke, he couldn't help but complain. Even the key class students lack manners. I'm truly at a loss for words. Being good at studies doesn't mean one also has good manners. Lin Zichen, while scrolling through the news on his phone, responded indifferently. At that moment, a news report caught his attention. It said that a rich second generation had gone missing in the city, unreachable for 3 days, and their family was offering a hefty reward online for their return. Another rich second generation missing? Lin Zichen furrowed his brows. This was the 5th case of a rich second-generation disappearance he had seen in these days. Initially, he thought it was a kidnapping for ransom, but after several days passed, he realized there was no kidnapper contacting the families for a ransom. It was very strange, deeply frightening. While he was mulling over this, Li Chuxin, who sat in front of him, said to Shen Qinghan, Han, there's going to be a singing contest at school at the end of December. I want to sing a duet, and we're missing a partner with a soft voice. Your voice is so gentle. How about we join the contest together? I can't sing. No problem. The lyrics you need to handle are minimal. You just have to hum along with me occasionally. Why don't you find someone else? Shen Qinghan had a bit of social anxiety at school and simply didn't have the courage to perform on stage. Seeing her refusal, Li Chuxin immediately took her hand and pleaded, Han, please join me in the competition. Your voice is so soft and lovely. With you as a partner, we can definitely win a place. But Shen Qinghan felt very troubled and did not know how to refuse Li Chuxin. Lin Zichen, sitting behind, seeing this, advised, Han, why don't you join Chu Xian in the contest? Your voice is very suited for singing, and I'm sure it will sound great. He thought Shen Qinghan was being too introverted at school and that participating in a singing competition to practice being on stage would be a good way for her to build confidence. Li Chuxin also urged, exactly Han, your voice really is perfect for singing. It would be a pity not to show off your talent in the competition. After hesitating for a moment, Shen Qinghan finally agreed to join Li Chuxin in the contest, considering Lin Zichen's feelings. You and Li Chuxin have successfully persuaded Shen Qinghan to join the singing contest. Total completed tasks count +1. Lin Zichen was somewhat surprised. He had not expected this to contribute to the progress of his social animal achievement. A few days later, on Saturday morning, inside the gymnasium, Lin Zichen's Class 1 Junior Year 1 was set to challenge the strongest key class of Senior Year 2, Class 3. During the warm-up period, a few boys from Senior Year 2 Class 3 gathered to chat and occasionally glanced over at Lin Zichen and Yu. It was none other than the guys who cut in Yu's line last week. Lin Zichen noticed their stares, but didn't care, continuing to quietly help Shen Qinghan warm up. Yu, however, looked back at them and was immediately met with their middle fingers raised in provocation, which infuriated him enough to raise his middle finger in response. Soon after, both classes had finished warming up, and the competition was about to start. As last time, Shen Qinghan was the first to compete for Class 1 Junior Year 1. The only difference was that this time, Shen Qinghan was defeated within 3 seconds of taking the stage, swept off her feet by her opponent's leg sweep, and then pinned down, unable to move. The senior girls from the key class were too strong, and even her turtle-style defense couldn't withstand their attacks. It wasn't just her. Wen Yintong, Chu Yushi, Li Chuxin, and several other girls all got instantly taken down by the same opponent as soon as they stepped on the stage, with no chance of fighting back. It was only in the 9th match, when a short-haired girl with a sturdy build took the stage, that they finally managed to knock the key class's first competitor off the stage. After that, an even stronger senior girl from the opposing team started to dominate in the martial stage once again. In less than 10 minutes, they wiped out 9 people in a row. Among them, there were 3 boys. Class 2 maintained such an obvious trend of strength disparity as the battle continued. Before long, Class 1 of Senior Year 1 was left with only Lin Zichen, Wang Shujia, Lu Gang, and He Yu for people, whereas Senior Year 2 Class 3 had only lost 5 students from the stage, with as many as 36 students yet to compete. The 5 students who were knocked off the stage were all girls. The other side hadn't even fielded a single boy. The disparity in strength was too great. There was simply no way to fight. In the face of this situation, everyone in Class 1 of Senior Year 1 frowned deeply, feeling somewhat powerless and desperate. Everyone except Lin Zichen. He needed to defeat as many opponents as possible to complete the survival of the fittest achievement. Seeing that his classmates were almost beaten, he was secretly pleased, eagerly hoping to soon be the last man standing. He Yu, it's your turn. Han Yuanfeng looked at He Yu, assigning him a difficult task. There are still 6 girls left on the other side. Go, and take them all down. Can you do it? No problem. He Yu answered confidently, and after speaking, he jumped onto the martial stage. Then, living up to expectations, he took a bit of effort to knock out all 6 girls from the opposing side. Following that, a boy in a tank top from the other side entered the stage. He saw that the newcomer was actually an acquaintance, the very person who first cut in line at the cafeteria that day. Ready to die? The boy in the tank top said with a grin as he approached. He Yu also smiled. Not only do you lack manners, but you also lack self-awareness. The opponent was the first boy from the class to enter the fray, certainly a weakling. He Yu was full of confidence for this duel. Seeing that both participants were in position, the referee quickly raised his right hand and chopped it down. Let the duel begin. No sooner had the referee spoken than the boy in the tank top used a swift step to move in front of He Yu and, before He Yu could react, raised his hand and punched him to the ground. Then, in full view of everyone, he stepped over He Yu's body, deliberately humiliating him. Fuck your mother. He Yu, enraged and humiliated, got up to hit the boy in the tank top. However, before he could throw a punch, he was kicked to the ground by the boy in the tank top and then stepped over again. Referee. Student, you must not deliberately humiliate your opponent. Warning once. The boy in the tank top ignored him, kicking He Yu, who had just stood up, down again, and then stepped over him. Referee. Warning twice. Seeing that he had been warned twice, the boy in the tank top did not continue to humiliate He Yu and directly kicked him off the martial stage. The kick was so forceful that He Yu curled up in pain beside the stage, his face twisted in agony. The boy in the tank top looked at the referee and asked, I won't be disqualified until I've been warned 3 times, right? The referee frowned. While that's the rule, indeed, insulting your opponent is an extremely reprehensible act. I advise you not to do it. The boy in the tank top didn't heed the referee and instead looked down at Lin Zichen, smiling. Junior, I remember you like to medal a lot. Do you want to come up and medal again? After speaking, he gestured to Lin Zichen with a hooked finger, his face full of provocation. If you have the guts, come on up, otherwise let it be. Lin Zichen could see that the boy in the tank top was very strong, definitely one of the frontrunners in the class. He had intentionally come out first to target He Yu and then humiliate him publicly. And now it was his turn. But I was just worried I wouldn't get a chance to participate. With that thought, Lin Zichen leaped onto the martial stage with one jump. Zichen, blow him away. Give him the humiliation under the crotch, too. Cutting the line in the cafeteria is bad enough, but acting so disgusting on the martial stage, where's your shame? Humiliate him harshly. Get revenge for He Yu. As soon as Lin Zichen stepped onto the stage, Everyone in his class started shouting at him with emotion. They all knew about He Yu being cut in line. They knew the man in the vest on stage was one of those who cut the line that day, and now they were all united in their animosity. Chi Yu, step over his head. I hate snitches the most. Gonna brutally torture him first before stepping over his head. Do it to him. The people from the opposing class were also shouting. However, not many were shouting, just those few who cut in line with the man in the vest that day. The homeroom teachers from both sides were somewhat dumbfounded, unable to understand why the situation had suddenly become so tense. It wasn't until they inquired with someone in the know that they learned it all stemmed from an old grudge related to cue cutting in the cafeteria. The homeroom teacher of Class 3, Year 2, had a headache, as a few students in the class lacked manners. Depending on their strong martial arts abilities, from the first year of high school until now, they had caused no small number of troubles and were basically uncontrollable. Han Yuanfeng had some objections, but just frowned and didn't say much. Because when students have conflicts, the best way to resolve them is to determine the winner and loser on the martial stage. There was no need for him to step in and mediate. On the stage, the man in the vest looked provocatively at Lin Zichen and said, "Perhaps you could forfeit so you don't have to be stepped over by me later." Forfeiture is the greatest taboo in martial arts competitions. Those who practice martial arts must show fighting spirit and dare to compete. The man in the vest said this to show off and to disgust Lin Zichen. Lin Zichen simply ignored him and looked towards the referee, speaking indifferently. "We're both in position. We can start the duel now." The referee nodded and then raised his right hand swiftly, chopping it down. "The duel begins." As soon as the voice fell, the man in the vest fiercely pushed off the ground, rushing towards Lin Zichen like an arrow. He liked to brag before the fight, but once the battle started, he never underestimated his opponent. If one could give their full effort, they would first knock the person down, then continue to arrogantly show off. Buzz! As the man in the vest approached Lin Zichen, he raised his leg for a vicious high side kick, targeting Lin Zichen's head. The speed was so quick and the power so great, it even created a faint sonic boom in the air. This one kick, if an ordinary student were to take it to the head, could result in a light concussion or, in more severe cases, immediate unconsciousness. Smack! A crisp sound rang out. Lin Zichen didn't even move his feet, lazily raising a hand to slap away the leg the man in the vest had kicked over. Next, he grabbed the man's head and pushed down forcefully, bang, smashing his face to the ground. Finally, he raised his leg to step over and add insult, then kicked the man off the martial stage, ending the fight at lightning speed. The entire set of movements flowed like water, executed cleanly and swiftly, and took no more than 3 seconds. I lost. Below the stage, the man in the vest sat slumped on the ground. His forehead was scraped and his nose bleeding, his face filled with life doubts, and he looked utterly disheveled. Even now, he hadn't quite grasped what had just happened. He only knew that he had rushed over to deliver a high kick to Lin Zichen, and then in the next second, everything went dark as his head was planted straight into the ground. His head was in pain and still buzzing, most likely concussed. What happened? Chi Yu's strength ranks in the top 5 in our class. How did he get floored so easily? That cool junior is that strong. The students from Class 3, Year 2, were completely dumbfounded, their faces filled with disbelief. In contrast, the students of Class 1, Year 1 appeared calm and untroubled. They had all witnessed Lin Zichen's strength and knew he had the ability to accomplish this. Another easy takedown? Han Yuanfeng squinted his eyes and muttered, "This kid is definitely hiding his true power." He was aware of how strong that vest-wearing guy in the opponent's class was. Much stronger than the black, overweight kid they had faced before. Yet, he was effortlessly taken down by Lin Zichen. Lin Zichen was absolutely holding back quite a bit of strength. Otherwise, there was no way he could do this. Listening to Han Yuanfeng's murmurs, Wang Shujia and Lu Gang beside him were completely stunned. Damn, Lin Zichen is already showing such strength, and you're telling me that's not all of it? Is this guy even human? On the other side, He glanced at Lin Zichen on the stage, then at the vest-wearing guy sitting on the ground with a nosebleed, feeling a mix of emotions. The guy who beat me like a dog just got easily wiped out by Zichen. I was showing off in front of him at the start of school. How clownish is that? Han Han, your Zichen is too incredible. Li Chuxin was dazzled by Lin Zichen's recent moves, her face full of admiration. My Zichen? It was the first time Shin Qinghan heard this phrase and felt a little happy inside. On the stage, Lin Zichen paid no attention to the exclamations around him and looked expressionlessly towards Class 2, Grade 3, addressing the few who had jumped the queue with the vest-wearing guy. Who's next? His voice sounded very calm, but was unusually imbued with intimidating pressure. Those guys, hearing this, didn't look too good, already anticipating the thrashing they'd get on stage. The arrogance and shouting from before had vanished, replaced by panic. About half an hour later, all 29 remaining students of Grade 2, Class 3, were defeated, all by Lin Zichen. Each match ended in a quick defeat. Among them, those who had been part of the queue jumping suffered the same fate as the vest-wearing guy. All were humiliated by Lin Zichen stepping on their heads, then kicked off the martial stage. Now they were all sitting on the ground with bloody noses, looking quite miserable. After the last match, Lin Zichen had a thought and checked his progress in the survival of the fittest achievement through the void. Achievement. In an official competitive situation, use the most primal method of organisms to cumulatively eliminate 1,000 different adversaries. Reward. Gain the biometric attribute, survival of the fittest. Cumulative adversaries eliminated. 119/1000. Only 119? Looking at the number on the progress bar, Lin Zichen couldn't help but frown. The achievement survival of the fittest appeared much earlier than social animal, but the completion progress was several hundred behind that of social animal. This rate of progress was too slow. The reason was that he was always the last one to fight during the class bouts. No, this can't continue. My strength far exceeds the high school level. There is no need to follow high school rules. I need to set my own rules. Come Monday, I'll go to the academic affairs office and ask the principal to arrange a reward-based personal challenge for me. I will challenge the whole school. 2 days later, Monday morning, as soon as Lin Zichen arrived at school, he headed straight to the administrative building to find the female principal and tell her he wanted to hold a personal challenge match. The rules were simple. He would defend the position while allowing the entire student body to challenge him. The female principal was a bit dumbfounded after hearing this. You're just a freshman and you want to challenge the entire student body? Are you serious? Lin Zichen didn't beat about the bush and took the female principal to a corner of the gym where no one was and showed her his strength by lifting a 700 kilograms barbell with one hand. The female principal was completely shocked. 700 kilograms. That's even stronger than Wu Tiancheng, the strongest student in the school's history, during his freshman year. Am I dreaming? Once she regained her composure, the female principal said excitedly, "No problem. I'll arrange a solo showcase where you can challenge the entire school. Principal, remember to set up a reward. Without a reward, no one will be motivated. Don't worry, leave it to the principal. It's best to set up 2 kinds of rewards. One for participation to encourage everyone to step up and challenge, and a cumulative reward, which is a prize pool that grows with each challenge attempt. The more attempts, the larger the pool of prize money. Whoever beats me gets to take the prize money. If no one can beat me within a certain period, then I'll receive the prize money. Okay, we'll do it just as you said. Principal, regarding my strength, you must keep it a secret from me first. Otherwise, nobody will be motivated to challenge if they find out. All right, the principal will listen to you, no matter what Lin Zichen asked for. The female principal was quick to agree without hesitation, completely unlike the domineering figure who instilled fear in the entire school on regular days. That's the charm of a genius of the highest caliber in school history, capable of making the high and mighty female principal willingly become an eager follower, as if she were hypnotized. At lunch break, the female principal, having spent the whole morning pondering, personally came to class one of freshman year with the solo showcase plan she had prepared and handed it to Lin Zichen for his approval. Lin Zichen quickly glanced at it and nodded with satisfaction. "Nicely done, Principal. Thank you for your hard work." The female principal beamed. "Oh, it's no trouble at all." Many of the passing teachers and students rubbed their eyes, wondering if they were dreaming. What's going on? How come the ever-serious female principal, the notorious terror of the school, was smiling like a sycophant in front of a student? What sort of turnaround was this? Unlike everyone else, Shun Qinghan, who also witnessed this scene, remained completely calm throughout. Whether it was teachers fawning over Lin Zichen or the principal doing so, she had grown up seeing it and was well accustomed to it. She even thought that even when they got to university, the university principal would still act as Lin Zichen's eager follower. On the other side, the female principal, excited by the discovery of an unparalleled genius, was not concerned about the odd looks from others. Seeing that Lin Zichen had no issues with the plan, she immediately took out her phone and notified all the homeroom teachers to gather their students at the field at 2 in the afternoon, announcing there was something important to disclose. 2 in the afternoon. All the homeroom teachers brought their students to the field punctually. Lin Zichen and the female principal stood on the stage. Once everyone was gathered, the female principal immediately took the microphone and announced Lin Zichen's challenge to the entire school. She detailed Lin Zichen's basic personal information, his recent achievements, and the rules of the challenge, the prize money, and so forth. Upon hearing this, the teachers and students below were in an uproar. "Principal, are you serious? The principal has gone mad. You, a freshman new student, are setting up a challenge for the entire school to face you. Where does your confidence come from? You think you're worthy of our challenge. Just because you beat the strongest class of sophomores, you're acting like this, and if people didn't know better, they'd think you had defeated the top class of seniors. Arrogant and ignorant. Do you think you are the historically strongest student?" Wu Tiansheng, seeing Lin Zichen, a freshman, daring to set up a challenge for the whole school, many older students felt offended and started berating him from below the stage. Facing everyone's questions, Lin Zichen simply said, "Starting tomorrow, for 2 hours during every lunch break, I will be at the gym defending the position, and everyone is welcome to come and spar." On the way home, Shun Qinghan's peachy eyes brimmed with curiosity. "Xiao Chun, how come you suddenly want to challenge the whole school like this? It's not your style. High school is so boring. Just looking for some fun." "Liar, you caught me. Tell me." Shun Qinghan coquettishly clung to Lin Zichen's arm. Lin Zichen, "Not now. Wait until I come up with a good excuse, then I'll tell you." Shun Qinghan. Seeing her puff up her cheeks unhappily, Lin Zichen stopped teasing her and told her the reason he had prepared in advance. "The principal saw how well I did in the class competition and wanted to see my limit. He set this challenge up especially for me." "You actually agreed with the principal? That's not like you." "Of course I agreed. There's money involved," said Lin Zichen, adding, "Once we get the money, we should find a time for our 2 families to go out for a big meal." Yes. Shun Qinghan nodded repeatedly like a chick pecking, already drooling at the thought. Seeing this, Lin Zichen couldn't help but smile. Such a foodie, just like when she was little. Evening. After dinner, Lin Zichen rested for a while and quickly started his daily exercise routine. Last night was strength training, so tonight is speed. He changed shoes, grabbed his keys. Lin Zichen stepped out the door, ready to go for a road run. As he left, he heard a gentle, sweet voice singing from a neighboring building. It was very pleasant to the ear. It was Shun Qinghan practicing her singing again, preparing hard for the December singing competition. Such a soft, lovely voice, and she was practicing so earnestly. She was bound to win a prize at this rate. I'll have to buy a bouquet for that occasion. After she finishes singing and wins, I'll go on stage and give them to her. What kind of flowers should I buy? I'll need to think about this carefully. There's still time. Might as well run by the florist on the way. Thinking this, Lin Zichen picked up his pace toward the nearest florist. On the bustling street, Pikachu, I choose you. A somewhat handsome young man, holding a cup of lemon tea that costs just 4 yuan, stood on the sidewalk, scrutinizing every person who walked by. Oddly enough, he wasn't interested in the beautiful women at all. Whether they were in stockings or in Cheongsams, he didn't give them a second glance. His gaze remained solely on the young, handsome men. I give up. Is Shanghai City this bad? All I want is a perfect 10 in terms of looks. How come I've been searching for days without any luck? All these handsome guys passing by have flaws. It's so annoying. If I can't complete this sacrifice task perfectly, how will the sect hierarch look at me? Will I be ostracized in the cult in the future? The more he thought about it, the more agitated the young man became, almost to the point of stamping his feet in frustration. Just as he decided to give up on perfectionism and was ready to catch a decent-looking guy to get it over with. Suddenly, he spotted a full-score handsome guy in the flower shop across the street. Holy shit, so handsome. It's like finding a needle in a haystack without even trying. On a deserted highway at night, Lin Zichen looked at the half-human, half-rat corpse on the ground, his expression filled with confusion. Is this it? Did he just pick up a rock and throw it, and then it died? Are there really followers of the rat god cult this week? When he had left the flower shop, Lin Zichen had noticed someone following him. He originally thought it was a coincidence, that he was just being paranoid. But unexpectedly, as he was about to reach the highway, the person suddenly sped up and chased after him. Turning around at the sound, he saw the person had 8 eyes on his face and was covered in dense fur. Lin Zichen didn't say a word and took off running. But as he ran, he noticed that the person's speed seemed a bit slow and couldn't keep up at all. So he stopped to pick up a rock and threw it, intending to test the person's strength. As a result, that single throw killed him. What kind of experienced baby was this? Lin Zichen was puzzled, but he didn't dwell on it for too long. He soon squatted down and extended his finger to touch the corpse on the ground. Then, with a thought, devour. You have devoured a strand of life essence from the gigantic mutant rat. Gigantic mutant rat compendium, 8%. Only increased by 1%? That's really little. No wonder this rat man was so trash. Lin Zichen shook his head, took some time to clean up the scene, and quickly left the highway. He didn't go for a night run anymore, opting to go straight home instead. Just going out for a jog and being targeted by a rat man was somewhat hazardous. For safety reasons, he decided not to go for nightly runs for the time being. After all, not every follower of the rat god cult was as trash as the one he encountered tonight. Some more formidable followers of the rat god, after mutating, had extremely powerful flesh that could even withstand firearms. After returning home, Lin Zichen engaged in high-intensity training at home. He trained for several hours straight. In between, sweet singing from the next room occasionally filtered through. It was Shun Qinghan practicing her singing again. It was clear that she was taking the singing competition at the end of December very seriously. After working out, he took a bath. Lin Zichen leaned against the wall, sitting on the bed, browsing the news on his phone. Not long into reading, he came across a news item about the rat god cult. In the news, the city security minister stated that a series of recent kidnappings of wealthy second-generation individuals had been confirmed as the work of rat god cult followers. The city security minister expressed great anger and shame, assuring the citizens that they would eradicate the rat god cult as soon as possible and restore a good public order environment in Shanghai City, or he would resign and apologize if unsuccessful. What does the rat god cult want with these rich second-generation kids? Are they asking for death? Lin Zichen couldn't figure it out, but he didn't think too much about it. Noticing it was late, turned off the lights and lay down to sleep. Tomorrow, he was to challenge the entire school in the arena. He needed a good rest tonight. The next day, at the crack of dawn, before his phone alarm went off, Lin Zichen woke up first. He picked up his phone to check the time and saw it was still early, so he didn't rush to get up but instead lay in bed scrolling through the news. Just opening the news app, he was shocked by a top news story. Good news. Last night at 3 a.m, the city security headquarters teamed up with professors from Evolution College at Shanghai University and eradicated the rat god cult in one fell swoop. The rat god cult was wiped out. Lin Zichen was shocked, his face filled with disbelief, and immediately clicked on the news to read it in detail. The city security headquarters had requested the assistance of a professor from the Evolution College at Shanghai University. The former was in charge of dealing with the rat god cult followers, while the latter dealt with the Rat King. The professor was a genetic integrator, an advanced-level biological creature named Wu Tiancheng. Wu Tiancheng, the strongest historical figure of Shanghai High School? Wasn't he someone who had just graduated from high school in the last few sessions? How did he become a mentor at Shanghai University? Employed right after graduation? With these questions in mind, Lin Zichen searched online and realized that Wu Tiancheng mentioned in the news was indeed the strongest person in Shanghai High School's history. He graduated the year before last and was supposed to stay at Kyoto University, but he was poached back to Shanghai City by Shanghai University. He continued to browse news about the extermination of the rat god cult. Soon, Lin Zichen came across a live video. It had just been released by the city's security headquarters. Upon opening the video, the scene showed a desolate forest landscape. As the camera moved, a giant mutant rat nearly 10 meters in length soon appeared on screen. This massive giant mutant rat, self-proclaimed as the Rat King, sat on the ground like a mountain, overshadowing the sun and appearing extremely sinister. In the video, a birdman hovering in mid-air was confronting it. It wasn't long before they started fighting. The battle was earth-shattering and the scene was incredibly intense. However, in less than half a minute, the huge Rat King was killed by the birdman, who was no larger than an average adult male. The nearly 10-meter-long massive body was chopped into pieces by the feathers shot out by the birdman. After killing the Rat King, the birdman retracted his wings and landed on the ground. In less than a few seconds, all features of the birdman rapidly vanished from his body, reverting to a well-built young man. It was none other than Wu Tiancheng, capable of switching freely between human and birdman form, able to shoot feathers for long-range attacks. Is this what an advanced-level creature is? Truly powerful. Lin Zichen watched Wu Tiancheng in the video, filled with envy. Shanghai City Security Headquarters. The director's office. A stern-faced middle-aged man was sitting and drinking tea with a well-built young man. The middle-aged man took a sip of tea and asked, "Tiancheng, still no contact with your teacher?" The young man shook his head, still missing. Those strong individuals who went to suppress the uprising in Source Land number 36 that year are all still unaccounted for. What's the situation in Source Land number 36 now? The situation has stabilized. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the time to be here today to clean up the small fry that slipped in amidst the chaos back then. Small fry. The middle-aged man laughed, set down his teacup, and said with a sigh, "Back when the Source Land number 36 uprising happened, you were just a middle school student. It's hard to believe that in just 10 years, you've evolved into an advanced-level creature. The Rat King, who the entire security headquarters was powerless against, is just small fry to you. Talent really makes a difference." After finishing, he asked the young man, "By the way, since you've come out from the Origin Land this time, are you interested in giving a lecture at your old high school?" The young man waved his hand, declining, "Forget it, I don't have that much time. I have to go back to Source Land to commit myself. If it hadn't been for that Rat King eating more people than he should, I wouldn't have been dispatched here." Shanghai City. Within a kilometer-deep underground cavern, a giant mutant rat more than 10 meters long was cowering in front of a 4-meter-tall, three-eyed giant. You started off by eating beggars and vagrants, then moved on to young, tender, and good-looking people, and later you went for those who were high above. I put a lot of effort into dodging surveillance to bring you to Shanghai City so that you could expand our race and dig tunnels. Instead, you've been going around eating people, and your appetite has only grown. Tell me, do you think you deserve to die?" The three-eyed giant lifted its right leg high and stomped down on the giant mutant rat's nose, looking down at it imperiously and asking. The giant mutant rat immediately pleaded, "Sir, please give me another chance. Opportunities, well, can be given, but you need to offer something in return," the giant said. No sooner had the words left its mouth than the three-eyed giant suddenly raised its right hand and forcefully plunged it into one of the giant mutant rat's eyes. A squelching sound was heard. That was followed by the resonating screams of the rat. The next moment, a basketball-sized eyeball was in the hand of the three-eyed giant. Ignoring the screams of the giant mutant rat before him, it opened its maw wide and stuffed the eyeball into its mouth, chewing slowly with visible pleasure. The eyes of sewer rats still smell as foul as ever, but taste delicious. I must say, you may be dull-witted usually, but you're quite clever when it comes to valuing your own life, letting your brother take the front stage as Rat King and facing the risks, while you enjoyed yourself behind scenes. However, if you don't start digging tunnels under Shanghai City and behave, your life will still be forfeit despite your caution, the giant continued. With that, the three-eyed giant plucked out another eyeball and popped it into its mouth, using it to calm its anger. After watching the video of Wu Tiansheng killing the Rat King, Lin Zichen continued to search and browse related news. Soon, a wanted notice about the remaining fugitive cultists of the Rat God cult caught his eye. The content of the news was that there were still 9 Rat God cult followers on the run, but the Public Security Department had already found their specific identity information and made it public, hoping citizens could provide clues to assist in the capture. There was a reward for providing clues, with the amount ranging from 5,000 to 500,000 yuan, depending on the importance of the clue. Lin Zichen glanced at the wanted photos, committing to memory the appearances of the 9 remaining Rat God cult fugitives. These 9 people were walking 500,000 yuan each, worth remembering their faces. However, the reward was secondary. The important thing was to protect oneself. Knowing the appearances of the Rat God cult fugitives meant that if he happened to encounter them by accident one day, he could recognize them immediately and quickly distance himself to avoid danger. He would provide clues to public security only after ensuring his own safety, and then claim the reward. Xiao Chun, aren't you up yet? It's already 6 o'clock. If you don't get up now, you'll be late for school. While he was engrossed in the news, Zhang Wanxin's voice came from outside the door. I know, I'm getting up now. Lin Zichen responded and quickly got out of bed to get dressed. Then he washed up, went downstairs for breakfast. About half an hour later, Lin Zichen stepped out the front door and went to school with Shun Qinghan, who was already waiting for him outside. Along the way, Shun Qinghan, unusually quiet, kept humming softly, sounding more and more skilled and pleasant to hear. Lin Zichen listened and enjoyed it. He had thought that Shun Qinghan would definitely win an award in the competition at the end of December, but now he believed she was sure to come first. In less than 10 minutes, the two entered the gates of the school. Walking along the campus paths, many were pointing at Lin Zichen, whispering about what had happened to him yesterday. Having announced his challenge to the entire school on the sports field stage the previous afternoon, he was now famous throughout the school. To exaggerate a little, even the stray cats on the road and the dogs kept by the teachers might recognize him. However, this fame wasn't exactly positive. In the senior years, especially among the seniors, aside from some infatuated girls whose values followed their looks, the vast majority of seniors are quite averse to him. They think this freshman is too arrogant and has deeply offended them, the seniors. As for all the pointing and whispering on the way, Lin Zichen didn't care at all, acting as if he had seen or heard nothing, and went about his business as usual. It was tough, though, for Shun Qinghan walking with him. Already socially anxious at school, Shun Qinghan, walking along the campus paths, was constantly struck by the looks others directed at Lin Zichen. Her head bowed the entire way, too scared to lift it. The constant chatter around her only made her feel more uncomfortable, to the point where her legs seemed to forget how to walk, and every step felt awkward. Seeing her in this state, Lin Zichen also felt helpless. His childhood friend lacked confidence, always timid at school, which made her seem like an easy target for bullying. He wondered when she would become more confident. The time quickly reached 12 o'clock at noon. As soon as the bell rang for the end of class, Lin Zichen didn't even stop for lunch. He left the classroom and headed for the school gymnasium. He had already eaten something to line his stomach during the break the class before. It was an onigiri made by Zhang Wanxin. It was convenient, time-saving, and didn't require cleaning a lunchbox. Seeing Lin Zichen heading to the gymnasium, Shen Xing'an hurriedly left her seat to heat her lunch in the office, planning to bring the warm food to the gymnasium to eat and accompany Lin Zichen throughout his challenge matches. She intended to use her phone to capture every moment worth recording of Lin Zichen's performance, collecting all the highlights of his student days, and then prepare a slideshow to give to him as a gift. Meanwhile, Lin Zichen had already arrived at the gym and stepped onto the martial stage. The gym was empty at that moment, not a soul in sight. The students had just finished class and hadn't arrived yet. 2 or 3 minutes later, students began to trickle into the gym. These students hadn't gone to the cafeteria for lunch, but had bought a piece of bread for the campus store and come to watch Lin Zichen's first day of individual challenge matches. There were classmates. There were onlookers. There were fangirls. There were hopeful challengers. And there were students who were just there for the raffle. In order to encourage active participation in the challenge, the female principal added a prize for participation in her plan. Any student who took part in the challenge would get a raffle ticket. The prizes were generous, including various latest models of electronic products. Zichen, the top student of the high sophomore honors class, has his sights on you, he said. Today, he wants to rub you relentlessly on the martial stage, beat you until even your own mother wouldn't recognize you. Below the martial stage, he was leisurely munching on his bread as he mimicked the threatening tone of that sophomore honors class tyrant and relayed the message to Lin Zichen, appearing like an instigating eunuch. Wang Shujie sneered upon hearing this. He's just a worthless person who's practiced for an extra year. How could he be considered a match for Lin Zichen? Lu Gang also remarked, those high graders are nothing but frogs in a well. They have no clue how strong Lin Zichen truly is. At this moment, both top achievers from Nongguan City stood speaking up for Lin Zichen, sharing his enmity and looking down upon the top student from the high sophomore honors class. After several shocks, awe, and existential doubts, they both accepted Lin Zichen's superiority, thoroughly convinced that he was the number one of Shanghai High School. Even though Lin Zichen had not yet faced the top students of the junior and senior honors classes, this did not prevent them from being so sure of their stance. They trusted their intuition as geniuses. Xiao Chun, good luck later. Shun Qinghan, holding her heated meal, sat in a corner below the stage, smilingly shouting a word of encouragement to Lin Zichen. Beside her, Li Chuxin also shouted, Zichen, go for it. Lin Zichen waved back at the two and the rest of the class with a smile. About 10 minutes later, the teacher in charge of refereeing arrived. Seeing this, Lin Zichen didn't waste a second and immediately asked everyone below the stage. Everyone, the individual challenge match can now begin. Does anyone want to come up for a sparring session? I'll do it. With a delicate voice, a girl with twin ponytails jumped onto the martial stage. She was a student from the ordinary class of grade 1 and was weaker than Shun Qinghan. The main reason she stepped up to the challenge was to have physical contact with Lin Zichen. Lin Zichen didn't go easy on her just because she was a girl. Aiming to save time to spar with more challengers, he knocked her out in less than 3 seconds. Survival of the fittest achievement progress +1. I'm next. It's my turn now, my turn. And me too. In the time that followed, the little fangirls took turns scrambling to get on the stage, all eager for physical contact with Lin Zichen. Then, in less than half an hour, Lin Zichen had taken down nearly 100 little fangirls, significantly increasing his achievement progress by dozens of points. With 95 points progress made in less than half an hour, he thought at this rate, he might complete the survival of the fittest achievement by this week. Lin Zichen felt a surge of excitement within. Another half hour passed, and the supply of little fangirls below the stage had almost been spent. At this time, the cumulative progress for the survival of the fittest achievement had reached 309 points, a straight gain of 190 points within an hour. The speed of progress was far more than what he had accumulated over the past few years combined, ridiculously efficient. In the meantime, some fangirls were not ready to give up and wanted to challenge again after their defeat. Lin Zichen flatly refused, not accepting a second challenge from any losers. because for the survival of the fittest achievement, he had to defeat different competitors to increase the completion progress. Are there any other challengers? After making use of the little fangirls, Lin Zichen looked down at the others and asked. Yes, of course. There was an immediate response from below the stage. As long as they stepped up to challenge, they would get a raffle ticket afterwards. Everyone was enthusiastic about this, lining up to take their turns for the challenge. Half an hour later, the completion progress for the survival of the fittest achievement had reached 419 points, nearly half completed. Meanwhile, the total amount of money accumulated in the prize pool had reached 2,000 yuan. Anyone else want to come? Lin Zichen looked down and asked. By then, all the little fangirls had had their turn, and the students who wanted raffle tickets were done as well. I'm coming. A senior student from the key class of third year leapt onto the martial stage. A huge guy, 2 meters tall, covered with muscles, looking like a mountain. He had his eyes on the 2,000 yuan in the prize pool. Junior, I know you're strong, but setting up a challenge for the whole school as a freshman is a bit too arrogant. Today, I'll teach you a lesson. After speaking, the senior took off his shirt in public, showing off his ridiculously exaggerated pectoral muscles, which throbbed with every flex, brimming with explosive power. 10 seconds later, bang, a collision sounded. The confident, muscled senior, who had just been full of confidence, to fly backwards off the martial stage. Next, after taking down the muscle-bound senior, Lin Zichen immediately shouted to those below the stage. However, no one came up to challenge. Seeing even a key class third-year senior get swiftly defeated, everyone understood their chances, and none stepped forward to be humiliated. As for the raffle tickets, not everyone cared about that. Just as Lin Zichen thought it might be time to call a day, a commotion suddenly arose from below. Yin Shaoxian is here. I didn't expect him to specifically come here for the challenge. He must really dislike this freshman and wants to come up here to teach him a lesson. This is interesting. Now there's a show to watch. Most of the students who came to the gymnasium had done, so to watch Yin Shaoxian teach Lin Zichen a lesson. After waiting so long, they finally got to see this dominant figure from the second year's top class. Who is Yin Shaoxian? Hearing the voices below and following everyone's gaze toward a boy approaching the martial stage from a distance, Lin Zichen became curious. Thinking to himself, he turned his head to look at Hiyu, who was well informed about the happenings below. Seeing Lin Zichen's curious gaze, Hiyu knew what he wanted to ask and promptly introduced. Yin Shaoxian is the #1 student in the top class of the second year that I mentioned to you before. He's said to be able to lift a 560-kilogram barbell with one hand, sprint 100 meters in just 6.38 seconds, and his overall strength is among the top 5 in the entire school. After hearing that, Lin Zichen nodded, completely unfazed. It was then that a lean figure leaped out from the crowd. The height of his jump nearly reached 4 meters. And then, like a god descending from the heavens, he landed on the martial stage with a thud. A 4.2-meter vertical jump from a standstill? What kind of spring-loaded person is this? Lifting a 690 kilograms barbell with one hand, a punch from him could probably kill a cow. No, make that 2 cows. 100 meters in 5.86 seconds. Wu Xing is the man. In the classroom of senior year class 1, students were praising a muscular boy. The boy's name was Chen Wuxing, the king of the top students in the senior class. His recent results from the Kyoto University Special Talents exam had just been released, causing an uproar among his classmates. As he basked in everyone's exclamations, a student from the next desk leaned over and said, Wuxing, I heard that Yin Shaoxian has gone over to the gym to educate that arrogant freshman. Seems like he's trying to imitate what you did to him last year. He's not as handsome as me, nor does he have my charisma. He can't learn it, Chen Wuxing said with a calm face. After that, he stood up from his seat and headed out of the classroom. The class discipline officer, a girl with shoulder-length bobbed hair, noticed he wasn't heading to the bathroom, but going downstairs, so she immediately chased after him and asked, Chen Wuxing, class is about to start. Where are you going? To the gym, to illustrate how a senior year should teach a sophomore. Class begins in less than 10 minutes. Are you planning to skip? I'm skipping class. So what? Chen Wuxing stopped, turned around to look at the meddlesome girl at the classroom door, and said coolly, "I've already passed the special admission exam for Kyoto University. Even if I drop out now, I'll still be a Kyoto University student come next September. Don't try to constrain me with the same rules that bind you, get it?" After dropping those words, Chun Wuxing turned and headed towards the staircase, leaving the girl only a dashing silhouette. Inside the gymnasium, two people stood on the martial stage. One was Lin Zichen, who held the position of the defender, and the other was Yin Shaoxian, the challenger. The former was the overlord of the first year, and the latter was the overlord of the second year. This battle between the new and old attracted a lot of spectators. Many teachers without classes next period even came to witness this peak showdown. Who do you think will win? Yin Shaoxian, I guess. I think so too. Although Lin Zichen has become famous lately, after taking down nearly half of the second year's class 3 by himself, that's still just an advanced class and not on the same level as the elite class. To take a class down single-handedly, Yin Shaoxian easily did that last year. And then what? When he went on to challenge Chun Wuxing, a grade above him, wasn't he thoroughly beaten? Indeed, they're all top-tier geniuses in the elite classes. There's not much difference in talent. An extra year of practice simply makes one much stronger. A group of teachers analyzed the likelihood of victory from below the stage. Their conclusion overwhelmingly doubted Lin Zichen's chances. After all, not everyone is Wu Tiansheng, capable of taking down the entire school in his first year. Besides, when Wu Tiansheng was a first year, the senior students happened to be a weaker cohort, which allowed him to dominate the entire school. Right place, right time, neither could be lacking. On the martial stage, Yin Shaoxian, with one hand in his pocket and casually flicking his bangs that covered his eyes, said with an air of arrogance, "Junior, I was as arrogant as you in my first year. But after being trashed by someone, I learned that there is always someone better. Today, I will give you your first lesson in life, teaching you how to be a genius who is neither arrogant nor impetuous." Last year, in his first year, he was insufferably arrogant, picking a fight with an entire senior class all on his own from the start of the school year. Starting with the second year, he fought his way up, smashing through the regular and advanced classes until he reached the elite class, only to be hung and beaten by Chun Wuxing in a David versus Goliath fight and brutally grinded against the martial stage. Now, he was the upperclassman, and he wanted to bully the lower-grade geniuses, making them suffer the same humiliation he had encountered. If he couldn't beat the higher grades, could he not beat the lower ones? Today, he had to brutally trounce the freshman who was showing off. Lin Zichen was oblivious to the drama playing out in Yin Shaoxian's mind and didn't wish to listen to his paternalistic preaching. So he looked at the referee and said, "Teacher, we're both in position. Can we start the duel?" The referee nodded, then turned to Yin Shaoxian and asked, "Are you ready?" "Ready," replied Yin Shaoxian. Hearing this, the referee immediately raised his right hand and swiftly chopped it down, declaring the duel begins. "Junior, I suggest." Bam! Yin Shaoxian wanted to say something preachy, but before he could finish, he was kicked off the martial stage by Lin Zichen. Always talking, hurry down from the stage and let others come up for a challenge. Don't delay my survival of the fittest achievement. Muttering to himself, Lin Zichen shouted to the others below, "Lunch break is almost over. Does anyone else want a challenge?" No one responded from below, because at that moment, everyone on site was dumbfounded. What has happened? Yin Shaoxian got defeated in a second? That was the overlord of the second year, a genius who ranked among the top 5 in the entire school. He was just knocked down by a freshman with a single kick? You gotta be kidding. How is this possible? After a moment, as the shock wore off, the entire gymnasium suddenly filled with incredulous chatter. Everyone couldn't believe what they had just witnessed was real, wondering if they were dreaming. As for the person involved, Yin Shaoxian, he sat on the ground in a daze, as if his soul had left his body. Last year, when I was a junior, I was bullied and beaten up by the seniors. Now that I'm a senior, I'm getting instantly killed by my juniors trying to overthrow me. Either way, it looks like I'm the one who's always getting beaten up. Lin Zichen didn't even glance at the defeated under his hand, ignoring the gasps of astonishment that kept coming from around him. He looked around at the people below the stage and shouted, "Anyone else want to come up for a challenge? Participate to get a chance to draw a prize. You could win a month of free milk tea vouchers or the latest fruit brand smartphone." After shouting for a while and seeing that no one else stepped forward, Lin Zichen turned towards a bespectacled girl standing at the edge of the martial stage and asked with a smile, "Classmate, do you want to come up and try a few moves?" I'm just a freshman from a liberal arts class. I'm just here for the excitement." "No worries. Come on up for the experience." Saying this, Lin Zichen grabbed the bespectacled girl onto the martial stage, stuffed a raffle ticket into her hand, and then instantly knocked her out with one move. Survival of the fittest achievement progress +1. Watching this, even the female principal was a bit stunned. She pondered. Lin Zichen deliberately organized a personal challenge match. Shouldn't he be eager for a clash of the strong? Why is he now not even sparing the liberal arts freshman who came to join in the fun? Does he have a battle addiction? Crazed? Not picky at all about his opponents? The female principal was at a loss. However, it didn't matter if she didn't understand, as long as she grasped one thing, and that was to cater to Lin Zichen's needs as much as possible. Thinking this, the female principal immediately arranged a task for the teachers present, instructing them to organize the students who hadn't had a turn to go up on stage and challenge Lin Zichen. So in the time that followed, many students who originally just came for the fun were herded onto the martial stage like ducks, and then instantly defeated by Lin Zichen. Seeing the progress bar shoot up, Lin Zichen was overjoyed, thinking to himself that a strong woman who could be principal really was different with a keen ability to read the situation. Soon, the bell for class rang, and the students expressed that they needed to go back for their lessons. The female principal directly said there was no need to worry about it. If their teachers held them accountable, they should say it was the principal who told them to stay in the gym. "Look, Chen Wuxing is here. Is he here for the challenge?" I didn't expect even Chen Wuxing, the top student of our school, to come for the challenge. This is going to be good. Right at the moment the bell finished ringing, such a commotion arose from the crowd. Lin Zichen followed the crowd's gaze toward a boy approaching from afar. Chen Wuxing, the #1 student in the school? So after the juniors come the seniors? Seeing him watching, the boy immediately sped up with a dash, pushed hard off the ground with his calves, and leapt up with a thud as he landed onto the martial stage. Just like Yin Xiaoshuan's entrance. The only difference was that this boy's leg muscles had more explosive power. He jumped higher, and he was even more handsome. I really didn't expect Yin Xiaoxian to lose to you. On the martial stage, Chen Wuxing said calmly as he looked at Lin Zichen, who was even more attractive than him. After finishing his sentence, he quickly added, "You are indeed very strong, but, teacher, we're all set in our positions, and we can start the duel." Without waiting for Chen Wuxing to finish, Lin Zichen interrupted him and said this to the referee beside him. Chen Wuxing looked like another chatterbox show-off, and Lin Zichen couldn't be bothered to waste time on him. "Junior, you seem a bit impatient." Chen Wuxing shook his head and then said with a smile, "But that's all right. Once the duel starts, I'll let you settle down and listen properly." After about 10 seconds, bang! Accompanied by the sound of impact, the school's top student who had just been thinking to teach Lin Zichen a lesson was kicked off the martial stage, along with his pride, in an instant. When dealing with those who talked too much and interfered with him completing the survival of the fittest achievement, a quick defeat was the way to go. Without paying attention to the shock of those around him, Lin Zichen urged the students lined up below to get on the stage. "Classmate, don't daydream. Hurry up to the stage." "Oh, okay." The boy at the front of the line snapped back to reality and responded. He then went up to challenge and was speedily defeated by Lin Zichen. From getting on stage to being knocked down, the whole process took less than 10 seconds, finished in a quick and clean manner. "Next. Come on, next. Keep it going." And so, after match, by the time it was almost 4 in the afternoon, the survival of the fittest achievement was finally completed. In a formal competitive setting, using the most primitive means of biology, You have cumulatively eliminated 1,000 different competitors. Achievement reached. Acquired biometric attribute. Survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest increases the damage you inflict on other organisms. After reading the message, Lin Zichen was quite satisfied with the effect of the biometric attribute survival of the fittest. A simple and brutal increase to damage dealt. Very practical. The only slightly disappointing part was that it didn't specify how much damage would be increased, leaving it rather vague. Seeing that the survival of the fittest achievement was completed, Lin Zichen ended the personal challenge and didn't waste any more time on the martial stage. Afterward, with everyone watching, he and the female principal walked toward the administrative building. Shen Qinghan originally intended to return to the classroom, but was asked by Lin Zichen to accompany him to the administrative building, so she followed him with her head lowered. When they arrived at the office in the academic building, the female principal couldn't contain her joy any longer and burst into laughter in front of them. After laughing for a while, she finally congratulated Lin Zichen on becoming the top student in the whole school. Then, recalling the scene where Lin Zichen instantly defeated Chen Wuxing, she couldn't help but ask, "You even defeated Chen Wuxing in mere seconds. Zichen, you must still be hiding your strength, right?" "Not bad. I'm just hiding a tiny bit. I think it's more than a tiny bit." Chen Wuxing just recently took the special admission test for Kyoto University. I've seen his score. He can lift a 690 kilograms barbell with one hand. Even so, he was easily taken down by you with one kick on the martial stage. So it seems your strength must be at least 800 kilograms. The principal really has divine intuition. I just tested it at home last week. It's 795 kilograms. Having said that, Lin Zichen smiled and asked, "By the way, principal, when can I get the 8,810 yuan from the prize pool?" "You can have it now." The female principal took out her phone, opened WeChat, and said, "Come, let's add each other on WeChat, and I'll transfer it to you directly." After the transfer, the female principal continued to chat with Lin Zichen. They talked about many things, about representing the school in martial arts competitions, about which universities to consider for the future, and some other trivial matters. During this time, Shen Qinghan just sat quietly on the side, listening to their conversation and not daring to play with her phone. About half an hour of chatting passed. Lin Zichen felt that it was enough and stopped discussing these matters with the female principal. Instead, he mentioned that both he and Shen Qinghan really enjoyed swimming and requested to use the competition swimming pool inside the gym. He wanted to use it at any time, and it had to be the kind that is not open to others. When using it, they would block the entrance so no one else could come in, ensuring that only he and Shen Qinghan were in the swimming pool. Without a second thought, the female principal agreed. Seeing her so readily agree, Lin Zichen pushed his luck further, requesting that the cameras be covered when he used it. The reason was that he didn't like the idea of being watched while swimming in his trunks. It would make him feel uncomfortable. Upon hearing such a request, the female principal raised her eyebrows. These two little ones, not only did they want the swimming pool to themselves, but they also wanted to block the cameras? What were they planning to do? Although she was curious, the female principal didn't probe too deeply. Instead, she opened a drawer, took out a key, handed it to Lin Zichen, and said with a smile, "Zichen, since you want it from now on, that swimming pool in the gym will be exclusively yours and Qinghan's. I will collect all the keys from the other teachers at the evening meeting, so they won't be able to use this swimming pool." With that, she put away her smile and reminded them in the tone of an elder, "But Zichen, you two are still young, and you must be careful when there's no one watching over you in the pool. Don't let anything fatal happen." Lin Zichen found this remark somewhat strange, but didn't think much of it, and simply replied, We'll be careful." After leaving the administrative building and returning to the classroom was empty. Everyone else was outside attending their martial arts training classes. Lin Zichen didn't plan to join the class and sent a WeChat message to Han Yuanfeng to say he was going to leave school early and head home. Immediately after, he packed his things and left the school with Shen Qinghan. On the way home, Shen Qinghan mentioned that she was already quite practiced in singing, but her duet with Li Chuxin didn't harmonize well and needed more practice. She asked if Lin Zichen could accompany her for half an hour of rehearsal in the evening. Lin Zichen happily agreed. Shen Qinghan's commitment to the singing competition was exactly what he wanted to see. He hoped Shen Qinghan could exhibit herself on a large stage and find her confidence, so she would no longer be as introverted and insecure as she was now. Shen Qinghan was inherently excellent, intelligent, and beautiful. She shouldn't live the way she was now. He was well aware that Shen Qinghan's introverted and insecure nature was closely related to his own dazzling presence. In fact, it could be said to be entirely because he shone too brightly. A firefly, if alone in the dark night sky, would be the brightest star. But in the presence of a bright moon, the light of the firefly would pale in comparison. That evening, at Shen Qinghan's home, after dinner, Shen Jianye and Su Meng were correcting test papers in the living room. Meanwhile, from upstairs came Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan's singing voices, as well as their laughter from when the singing went off-key. "Wife, don't you think it's a bit inappropriate for them to be alone in a room, playing around now that they are both grown up?" Shen Jianye suddenly asked. Upon hearing this, Su Meng was almost furious. She glared at him and snapped. "What's wrong with that? They've grown up together since they were little. What's wrong with them playing in a room together? Who are you, an old man, to object to this? Shun, I'm warning you not to meddle in other people's business, or else I won't let it go." Su Meng was truly angry, unable to comprehend what was going through her husband's mind, criticizing their daughter and Lin Zichen for being together by themselves as being inappropriate. Was he out of his mind? He was just asking for scolding. Upstairs, Lin Zichen was practicing singing with Shen Qinghan. With his keen sense of perception, he heard the couple's conversation downstairs and couldn't help but laugh and cry at the same time. He knew exactly what Shen Jianye and Su Meng were thinking. All he could say was this was the difference between a father and a mother. The former felt like his precious child was about to be taken away, while the latter felt the child had found a good place to settle down. "All right, Qinghan, we've been practicing for half an hour now. That should be enough. Go study," Lin Zichen said as he turned off the song accompaniment playing on his phone, addressing Shen Qinghan, who was seated beside him. Shen Qinghan glanced at the time, saw that indeed half an hour had passed, and obediently went over to the desk to sit down and study. She wasn't as clever as Lin Zichen and could only maintain good grades with diligent studying. Lin Zichen didn't rush home. Instead, he leaned against the wall on Shen Qinghan's bed and began to browse through the phone's news aimlessly, planning to read for a while before returning home. He stumbled upon news related to the remnants of the Rat God cult. None of the 9 remnants of the Rat God cult had been caught up till now. They were all still at large. According to the city's public security headquarters, Rat God cult followers had the ability to communicate with ordinary rats and could use them as their eyes and ears, thus managing to evade capture continuously. Continuing to scroll down, he found more news related to the remnants of the Rat God cult. There were 2 such pieces of news. The first, last night in the city, there were 2 cases of young men being tortured to death, and the public security headquarters suspected it was the work of a female remnant of the Rat God cult. The second, this morning in an alleyway, the naked body of a woman was found, and the public security headquarters suspected a male remnant of the Rat God cult was responsible. At first glance at these 2 news items, Lin Zichen felt puzzled. They were on the run, yet they still committed crimes. Wasn't that like asking for death? But then he quickly understood. The Rat God cult followers had undergone forbidden genetic fusion in unconventional ways, with severe disadvantages. The biggest drawback being the dilution of humanity and the strengthening of bestial traits. Once the bestial traits strengthened, they would lose their reason, unable to control themselves, only acting on biological instincts. And most biological instincts are driven by desire. The reason these Rat God cult remnants on the run committed crimes wasn't that they wanted to die by engaging in dangerous behavior. They simply couldn't control themselves. After browsing the news for a while, Lin Zichen got up from Shen Qinghan's bed to make his way home. Before leaving, he reminded Shen Qinghan, who was sitting at the desk. "Qinghan, Remember to bring your swimsuit tomorrow afternoon. We're getting out of school early to practice swimming in the pool, he said. I know, by Xiao Chun. Shun Qinghan waved at Lin Zichen, her smile sweet. After Lin Zichen left, she stood up and walked over to the wardrobe, stopping in front of it. Opening the door, she took out 2 swimsuits from the very bottom. One was a conservative one-piece that, when worn, covered the body, connecting the top and bottom and leaving very little of the thighs exposed. The other was a more revealing swimsuit, almost like just wearing underwear. Shun Qinghan hesitated for a moment, but eventually blushing, she picked up the more revealing swimsuit and stuffed it into her backpack. Wearing this swimsuit, her body would have more contact with the water, and it would feel a bit more comfortable. After all, the swimming pool in the gymnasium was exclusively for her and Lin Zichen. With no one else there, it wouldn't matter if she wore something more revealing. The next morning, after breakfast, Lin Zichen went out to meet Shun Qinghan for school. When he left the house, Shun Qinghan was either getting up late or something, still having breakfast inside: eggs, bread, and milk. Seeing that he was already waiting outside, Shun Qinghan couldn't afford to eat more, grabbed the bread and milk from the table, slung her backpack over her shoulder, and hurried out of the house. Run slower, don't fall. It's fine, I'm a student of the martial arts class. Don't you underestimate me, okay? Being a student doesn't make you a martial artist. If a stone trips you, you'll still fall. Ah, you're so annoying, always picking on me. Shun Qinghan pouted her rosy lips and playfully hit Lin Zichen with her hand. It was a light hit, just teasing, looking like the playful banter between a couple. They bantered for a few sentences and quickly headed for school to make it on time. On the way, Shun Qinghan, with her small appetite, couldn't finish the bread or the milk. Feeling that throwing them away would be a waste, she handed them over to Lin Zichen to deal with. Lin Zichen didn't mind her saliva. He ate what needed to be eaten and drank what needed to be drunk. After walking for a few minutes, the two of them passed through the school gate and arrived at the school path. Just like yesterday, students on the road would start whispering to each other about Lin Zichen once they saw him. But the difference was, most people yesterday were cursing him for being arrogant and ignorant of the ways of the world. Today, they were in awe of him, saying he took down Chun Wuxing with a single kick. His strength was too terrifying. He must be an exotic beast in human disguise. After entering the classroom, Lin Zichen was greeted with a different atmosphere. The gazes from classmates towards him all felt like they were looking up to a lofty leader, creating a sense of distance that had never been there before. Before, classmates only saw him as the overlord of the first year, someone who still needed more training and growth to compete with the geniuses in the senior classes. But to everyone's surprise, Lin Zichen managed to take down the number 1 student in the school with just one kick. This strength made him a super genius in a league of his own, even stronger than the so-called strongest in the school's history, Wu Tianqing. After all, Wu Tianqing couldn't have managed to instantly defeat the top student in the school back in his first year. Lin Zichen was indifferent to the change in how those around him viewed him. High school was just an inconsequential interlude in his life. The interpersonal relationships during this period were fragile, mostly coming to an end after graduation. Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Lin Zichen had already agreed with Han Yuanfeng to leave class early. Once he saw the time was 4 o'clock, he packed up his bag with Shun Qinghan and left the classroom. Then, in less than 5 minutes, the two entered the gymnasium and arrived at the eagerly anticipated swimming pool. The swimming pool at this time was already filled with cool, clean water. All the cameras on the walls were covered with black tape. It was all done in advance by the female principal. She seemed to take on the role of a nanny, providing the most attentive and meticulous service to the genius. Before getting into the water, Lin Zichen asked Shun Qinghan to close all the doors to the pool and pull down the curtains on the windows as well. He, on the other hand, took a camera detector and electronic signal jammer out of his backpack. These 2 tools were bought for his nighttime tests on his physical data, and they came in handy now. After almost 10 minutes, once the indoor space was confirmed to be absolutely private, Lin Zichen and Shun Qinghan went to opposite corners out of sight to change into their swimwear. Soon, They both came out of the corners. Lin Zichen wore just a pair of swim trunks, while Shen Qinghan wore a swimsuit that looked almost like underwear. When they first came out and saw each other, the former seemed calm on the surface, but inside there was a surge of emotion. The latter, however, had her pretty face blushing like a ripe peach, feeling very embarrassed. "Let's go. We'll get in the water for training, practicing walking underwater," Lin Zichen said, deliberately averting his gaze from Shen Qinghan, looking at the pool in front of him. Shen Qinghan nodded and followed him into the water. Soon, they were both completely submerged, practicing walking at the bottom of the deep water area. Not long into the practice, Shen Qinghan suddenly, for some reason, tapped Lin Zichen's shoulder with her hand and then quickly surfaced. Lin Zichen frowned, wondering if she had heard the weird sound from the sea before. Thinking this, he immediately surfaced. As he broke through the water, he heard Shen Qinghan say in somewhat panic, "Xiao Chun, look quickly, the water in the pool can pass through my body." Following the direction of her voice, he looked toward Shen Qinghan. He saw Shen Qinghan right before him, scooping up some water in her hand. And just as she had scooped it up, the next moment the water passed right through her palm, falling back into the pool. Shen Qinghan is leaking water? Watching the scene before him, Lin Zichen couldn't help but widen his eyes, feeling utterly incredulous. Although he had always been swearing that Shen Qinghan had superpowers, that was mainly to comfort her and prevent her from giving up on herself. As to whether Shen Qinghan really possessed water-related superpowers, he actually had no certainty in his heart. Unexpectedly, Shen Qinghan was now truly displaying a scene where she possessed superpowers. Water could directly pass through the body. What else could this be if not a superpower? "Xiao Chun, it's so strange. Why are my hands leaking water?" Shen Qinghan swam over to Lin Zichen, placing her water-leaking delicate hands in front of him, her expression somewhat at a loss. Lin Zichen steadied his emotions and asked, "Besides being permeable to water, do you feel any other changes in your body?" Shen Qinghan shook her head. "No, I've only discovered that my hands can be penetrated by water. I haven't found any other changes for now." "It's only the hands that can be penetrated?" Thinking this, Lin Zichen quickly asked again, "What does it feel like to be penetrated by water?" Shen Qinghan thought for a moment, organized her thoughts, and then replied, "How do I say this? It feels like my hands have merged into the water, becoming a part of it, and then there is no feeling of resistance from the water, making movements in the water much more nimble." Lin Zichen pondered for a moment and then looked at Shen Qinghan, saying, "Stretch out your hand for me to take a look." Shen Qinghan obediently stretched out her hand, extending her right hand. Lin Zichen took her extended hand and carefully examined it. The fingers were slender and long, the skin fair and smooth, soft to the touch, with a particularly nice hand feel, and looked very exquisite altogether. Moreover, it was natural, without any subsequent maintenance, a genetic advantage inherited through generations. With Shen Qinghan's hand, advertising as a hand model, promoting rings, bracelets, manicures, nail polish, etc., the effect would be absolutely fantastic. However, at this moment, Lin Zichen was not in the mood to appreciate how beautiful Shen Qinghan's hand was. Instead, he used her hand to conduct an experiment, asking her to scoop up some water again to observe how the water was passing through her palm. Then he noticed that the water would first stay on her palm for a moment before quickly falling back into the pool through her palm. In this process, the water loss was very fast, looking like a plug had been pulled out of the water pool, flowing away instantly. After observing like this several times, Lin Zichen did not make any useful discoveries. So, he turned his attention to studying Shen Qinghan's palm. First looking, then touching, and finally poking. During this, Shen Qinghan felt a tickling sensation in her palm, which was quite uncomfortable. But seeing Lin Zichen so focused on his research, she kept still, allowing him to continue studying. After a thorough examination, Lin Zichen found that Shen Qinghan's palm was quite normal. Apart from water being able to penetrate through it, In terms of touch, temperature, or color and other features, it all seemed no different from an ordinary person. It's only the hand that water can pass through. Yeah, it's only the hand that feels unusual. Let's go up. I'll give you a thorough physical examination to see if there are other parts of your body that can be penetrated by water. Okay. The two exchanged a few simple words and soon swam ashore together. Lin Zichen brought a few chairs together for Shun Qinghan to lie on for him to examine her body. Then, he took out a water bottle from his backpack, filled it with water, and slowly poured it onto Shun Qinghan's body to see if any other parts could also be penetrated by water. With Lin Zichen observing her body so closely, Shun Qinghan's face turned completely red. She quickly closed her eyes to divert her attention, looking all shy and bashful. Lin Zichen, however, didn't mind these things and focused all his attention on researching the superpower. About 10 minutes later, the examination had ended. It had been done 3 times in total. The final conclusion was that Shun Qinghan's hands were indeed the only parts that could be permeated by water. All other parts of her body were normal. Xiao Chun, have you figured anything out? Shun Qinghan, completely drenched, sat up from the chair and looked at Lin Zichen with some expectation. Lin Zichen shook his head. For now, aside from knowing that your hands can be penetrated by water, I know nothing else. I see. Not getting the answer she hoped for, Shun Qinghan felt a bit disappointed. Lin Zichen said in a comforting tone, "Don't worry, there's plenty of time in the future to research slowly. No need to rush things." That's true. Shun Qinghan's beautiful eyes curved, and she smiled sweetly. No matter what, at least now I can be sure that I do have superpowers, just that they haven't been fully unearthed yet. After saying that, she seemed to think of something. Her cheeks blushed slightly, and she started playing with her fingers. After hesitating for a moment, she said in an embarrassed voice, "Xiao Chun, do you think it's possible that since I was young, I have not been able to hold my bladder because some part of me is like my palms now, unable to hold water, resulting in it seeping out? If there's no surprise, that should be the reason." After saying that, Lin Zichen added, "Next time you feel a strong urge to pee and you think you can't hold it, you can investigate it yourself to see if some part of your body has the same unusual sensation as your current hands do." Actually, what he had wanted to say was to ask her to notify him next time she was in a hurry to pee, so he could research it. But before he could say it out loud, he realized that it sounded very inappropriate, like something a pervert would say, so he swallowed the words and changed them to what he had just said. Still, Shun Qinghan across from him blushed, finding the topic embarrassing. "By the way, Xiao Chun, what should I do with my hands now?" Shun Qinghan, looking at her leaky hands, couldn't help but display a trace of worry on her face. Lin Zichen reassured, "It's all right. Don't worry too much. Your hands in this condition should not be permanent. I estimate they will return to normal soon. Otherwise, you wouldn't have lived this long without encountering this situation before." After that, he added another sentence. "Once your superpower is further developed in the future, you should be able to control whether your body can be permeated by water or not, just like those superpowered beings in the movies who can transition between elemental and solid forms at will, turning into water when entering water and reverting to human form when exiting." That sounds amazing. Shun Qinghan's eyes were full of anticipation. She couldn't wait to see the day come. At that moment, Lin Zichen asked, "By the way, when you were walking at the bottom of the pool just now, did you do anything that you don't usually do?" After asking, he explained further, "I think the reason your hands are like this now might be because you did some special action at that time." Shun Qinghan thought hard. A moment later, she said with certainty, "I didn't do anything special. I was just walking when suddenly I felt an abnormal sensation in my hands, and then I saw that water could pass through them." Lin Zichen nodded upon hearing this and didn't say anything more. In the time that followed, the two trained in the pool, all the while discussing topics related to superpowers. They fantasized about all kinds of superpowers based on the movies, TV shows, and comics they had seen or read, such as water magicians, water elementalists, water sprites, aquatic gods, even cultivators with a water spiritual root, and so on. Throughout these discussions, Shun Qinghan was extremely excited, her pretty face looking flushed. Having lived for so many years, she had finally confirmed that she was not a talentless girl, but a superpowered being related to water. She thought that once she had fully developed her superpowers, nobody would call her Lin Zichen's maidservant anymore. Instead, they would say that the two of them were a match made in heaven, a peerless and powerful duo. Over the next few days, Lin Zichen left class on time every day, ahead of schedule. At 4 in the afternoon, he would take Shun Qinghan out of the classroom and head to the swimming pool in the gymnasium to do research. Unfortunately, after several days of continuous research, there was no progress to be reported. They still hadn't figured out why Shun Qinghan's hands were leaking water, nor understood how to achieve voluntary control over whether to leak water or not. However, neither of them was in a hurry, both believing that with enough time, they would eventually find a solution. And so, several more days passed. Shun Qinghan's hands healed and no longer leaked water. But when it came to holding in urine, there was still no change, just like before. She had to wear diapers at night. Otherwise, there was a high chance she'd wake up to wet sheets. As for whether she felt the same abnormal sensation when she had the urge to urinate as when her hands leaked water, the answer Lin Zichen received from Shun Qinghan was that, for the moment, she could not tell. One Saturday morning, in the living room, after eating breakfast, Lin Zichen sat leisurely on the sofa with his parents, watching the morning news on TV. At that moment, the screen was broadcasting a news story about a gene integrator mutating and causing massive casualties. The details revealed that a triple gene fusioneer had suddenly lost control over the exotic beast gene within him, leading to his mutation right on the street. Then, losing all humanity and succumbing to bestial rage, he attacked anyone he saw, resulting in over 100 casualties, shocking the entire nation. Losing control of the exotic beast gene inside, and then mutating into a monster that is neither human nor ghost. Fortunately, I possess the biometric attributes of the survival of the fittest, which allows me to assimilate various biometric properties without risk by simply devouring them. Survival of the fittest can basically be considered a perfect upgraded version of genetic fusion. These thoughts crossed Lin Zichen's mind. While he was contemplating these things, the news anchor had finished explaining the incident, and the news station then played a video clip. The footage showed two groups of people engaged in a heated debate in a hall, seemingly on the verge of coming to blows. The debating parties were the conservative faction, which opposed genetic fusion, and the liberal faction, which supported it. The conservatives pointed to the mutation incident as a challenge to the liberals. They argued that genetic fusion was a wrong path to follow. They cited information from ancient relics and various mythological and monster tales that have been passed down over the ages, indicating that only monsters have always desired to transform into humans, not the other way around. They claimed that human potential was immense and that with the right methods, it would be possible to break through ordinary limits and evolve into advanced-level creatures. They proclaimed that the human powerhouses recorded on the stone tablets in ancient relics or the all-powerful immortal gods from mythological tales undoubtedly evolved by continuously tapping into human potential. They suggested reducing the resources and funding dedicated to genetic fusion research and reallocating them towards the exploration of human potential. In contrast, the liberal faction was also fiercely retorting. They argued that the human powerhouses recorded on the stone tablets in ancient relics and the immortal gods described in mythological tales remain unverified to this day. Hence, it was unreasonable to put all one's eggs in that basket. They reasoned that even if the immortal gods of legend truly existed, many depicted with strange and monstrous forms, some with a snake's body and a human head, others with 3 heads and 6 arms or faces jutting out in 4 directions, underscore the correctness of the genetic fusion path. They challenged conservatives by asking if, in the absence of gene integrators, they expected traditional martial artists, who couldn't even stop bullets, to face off against exotic beasts. They stated that many components and mechanical modifications were made from parts of exotic beasts, and were therefore related to genetic fusion. Without it, humanity would have been doomed long ago. In the video, both factions clung to their views, arguing loudly. Even through the television screen, the noise was so loud that it buzzed in the ears. I'm fed up with these traditional martial artists. They themselves can't counter the exotic beasts to protect their nation, yet they don't allow the development of genetic fusion to combat them. What are they thinking? As he watched the video playing on TV, Lin Yinsheng had a poor impression of the traditional martial artists shown. Zhang Wanxin said, "Maybe it's because the rise of genetic integrators has caused their societal status to plummet, and they harbor resentment because of that." That must be exactly it. Lin Yinsheng nodded in agreement, then added, "But to be fair, being a genetic integrator does have its downsides. If the exotic beast genes inside aren't handled properly, and mutation occurs, it leads to a massive catastrophe with countless casualties." Zhang Wanxin dismissed the concern. "You're being overly worried. As long as the gene fusion is done through legitimate channels and is properly maintained afterward, mutation won't happen. After all, the state has very strict controls over this area." As soon as she finished speaking, she continued, "If you ask me, instead of worrying about mutations, it's wiser to worry about passing down the lineage. Most genetic integrators lose the ability to reproduce, and if the stuff's saved in the storage before fusion goes bad, that's the end of one's lineage." Lin Yinsheng replied, "That's true. You definitely need to save up more before gene fusion, or you might as well just find a partner and have children before undergoing genetic fusion. Hey, our son is here. Let's not talk about this stuff." Realizing belatedly that Lin Zichen was sitting nearby, Zhang Wanxin gently hit Lin Yinsheng and whispered to him. Hearing Zhang Wanxin's words, Lin Zichen tactfully got up and left the sofa to go upstairs to spare his parents any embarrassment. As for the issue of lineage and genetic integration his parents had just been discussing, he had read about it when he was very young. Due to mixed genes, 90% of genetic integrators lose the ability to reproduce. The remaining 10% who retained the ability to reproduce often had children with all sorts of problems. Either they were weak and sickly and died young, or they looked so abnormal it was shocking. However, given the randomness of genetics, theoretically, it is possible for two genetic integrators to conceive a child who only inherits the strong traits from both parents, a true prodigy. But that's just theory. As for reality, Lin Zichen had not seen any such examples yet. The next day, Sunday, Lin Zichen had just finished a high-intensity workout in his room on Sunday morning when his phone on the desk vibrated. Picking up his phone, he was pleasantly surprised to find that the payment for the second month of his novel being online had been deposited, a total of just over 120,000. Adding in the payment from the first month, the total earnings for 2 months were close to 210,000. This sum of money was enough to buy 100 pounds of Violent Great Eagle meat to devour, and then unlock the Violent Great Eagle photo album to acquire the related biometric attributes. Soon after, Lin Zichen took his bank card and headed out to the market to purchase Violent Great Eagle meat. Upon reaching the market, he gave all the jars and containers from home to the landlord, who quickly purchased 100 pounds of Violent Great Eagle meat and brought it back using his bank card. An employee from the market helped will it over. Lin Zichen took back his bank card from the landlord, picked up the 100 pounds of Violent Great Eagle meat, and left to find a secluded spot to begin devouring it. You have devoured a large quantity of Violent Great Eagle Life Essence. Violent Great Eagle photo album, 100%. As the textual information appeared, in the void a muscular falcon emerged, flying over the sea's surface in the empty space. Suddenly, spotting its prey, the falcon dived swiftly, plunging from the sky to the sea in less than a second. When it emerged again, its talons grasped a deep blue squid. At the same time, 2 new lines of text appeared in the void. Name: Lin Zichen, age 16. Biological level: common, tier 5. Biometric attributes: use it or lose it, divine root of intelligence, survival of the fittest, water mastery, natural selection, hawk's eye. Unknowingly, I had already possessed 6 biological skills. My biological level had also evolved to Common Tier 5, and I'm only 16 years old now. Looking at the personal attributes panel in front of me, Lin Zichen felt a surge of excitement, believing that his future was promising. With such a rate of growth, I would surely become a human paragon with a sanctified body and various powerful biological attributes. By that time, whether it be the child prodigy from the capital city or the mechanical genius girl, they were destined to pale in comparison to someone like me. I idly thought about these things for a while. Soon, Lin Zichen gathered his thoughts and headed to the rooftop of the building where the mall was located to experience the effect of the Hawk's Eye attribute. In just a moment, he arrived on the rooftop and stood at the highest point, gazing around. Everywhere his gaze landed, he could see very clearly. He could see a mosquito flying in the air dozens of meters away. He could see every person walking on the street below. He could see a man and a woman fighting in a window hundreds of meters away. The man and woman who were fighting suddenly felt a chill in their hearts, as if some terrifying presence had set its sights on them, turning them into prey ready for slaughter. The man, thinking he was being spied on with a telescope, cursed as he got out of bed and gave the finger towards the window, then quickly drew the curtains. Whether it's the range of vision or the ability to capture motion, both have far surpassed human limits. The eyesight of birds of prey is indeed powerful. Lin Zichen couldn't help but remark after recalling the high-definition scenes he had just seen from a distance. Leaving the rooftop, he returned to the place downstairs where they sold exotic beast meat. Lin Zichen walked and browsed around, eventually stopping in front of a freezer marked with a Stealth Dragon label. The ferocious Great Eagle album was already open, and now it was time to unlock the next exotic beast album. The biological attributes of the Stealth Dragon piqued his interest. About the Stealth Dragon, despite the word dragon in its name, it was not the dragon that everyone recognizes, but a lizard known for its ability to hide. It could minimize the vitality and breath inside its body to lower its presence, making it easier to hunt or evade predators. Being good at hiding means it's difficult to capture. Therefore, Stealth Dragon meat was very expensive, priced at 8,888 yuan per 500 grams. 8,888 yuan times 100 equates to nearly 900,000 yuan. If the manuscript fee is calculated at 100,000 yuan per month, it would take almost a year to save enough to unlock the Stealth Dragon album. It's pricey, but there's a reason for the price. Lin Zichen was intrigued by the biological attribute of being good at hiding and decided that the next exotic beast album would be the Stealth Dragons. Once he had saved enough from his novel's manuscript fees, amounting to 900,000 yuan, he would come over to purchase and consume it. Time passed quickly, and before he knew it, December was coming to an end. Today is Friday, and tonight, Shanghai High School was hosting its annual Top 10 School Singers competition. In a monotonous high school life, the appearance of such an entertaining competition immediately attracted a large number of students to come and watch. Many students chose not to go home after school. Instead, they settled for dinner in the cafeteria or just outside the school gates before coming over to the playground for the singing competition. Aside from his students and teachers, there were also quite a few parents present. Most were local residents living near the school who had come over to join in the post-dinner entertainment out of boredom. A small part of them were parents of the contestants who had specifically come to cheer on their children. As a contestant, Shun Xinghan's parents, Shun Jianye and Su Ming, were both present, already seated and waiting for her to appear on stage to cheer her on. Lin Zichen's parents, Lin Yinsheng and Zhang Wanxin, were also there. They had long treated Shin Xinghan as their own daughter, and coming to cheer for her was a given. As for Shin Xinghan and Lin Zichen themselves, they were both backstage preparing. As a contestant, Shun Xinghan was sitting in front of a mirror having someone apply makeup to her. And the person doing her makeup was none other than Lin Zichen. Observing the scene before her, Li Chuxin couldn't help but express her incredulity, saying, "Zichen, it's amazing that you, a boy, actually know how to do makeup. Such a versatile god. I used to be naughty when I was little and would often steal my mom's cosmetics to play with them, applying them all over Han Han's face in a mess. And after messing around for a bit, I sort of got the hang of it. Lin Zichen explained. The Shun Qinghan in front of him, whose makeup he was applying, muttered to herself, "Liar. Xiao Chun, you never really messed around. The first time you did makeup, it looked really good, and Aunt Xin and Mom laughed and praised you as a genius. Genius is indeed different. You got the hang of it just playing around when you were little. For someone like me, I've been learning makeup with my mom since 6th grade, but my technique isn't even a tenth as good as yours," Li Chuxin said, feeling a bit defeated. Lin Zichen was too much of a genius. During this short semester in high school, whether it was a field typically mastered by males or one favored by females, he could demonstrate an amazingly exaggerated talent in it. So exaggerated that it left people without the slightest motivation to follow, with nothing but a deep sense of inferiority and a profound sense of futility in questioning their own lives. Zichun, after you finish doing Han Han's makeup, can you do mine too? The makeup you're doing for Han Han is just so beautiful. I want to have makeup that looks just as good. Li Chuxin pleaded with her eyes. Lin Zichen wanted to decline, but before he could speak up, Shun Qinghan sitting in front of him said, "Of course he can. After all, we're the closest group members in our class." Seeing Shun Qinghan say that, Lin Zichen no longer refused, smiling at Li Chuxin. "Okay, I'll do your makeup afterward too." "Thank you, Zichun." "Thank you, Qinghan." Li Chuxin didn't know how much Shun Qinghan's just-spoken words had influenced this, but it seemed right to thank them both anyway. After all, Lin Zichen and Shun Qinghan were a known pair tied together at school. About 10 minutes later, Lin Zichen had finished applying makeup to Shun Qinghan. The Shun Qinghan now had fine eyebrows and sparkling eyes, small and tender lips, and a touch of light peach blush on both cheeks, looking very charming. Even Lin Zichen, who had personally done this beautiful makeup, found himself staring a bit too long. "Why do you keep staring at me?" Feeling uncomfortable being stared at by Lin Zichen, Shun Qinghan's pretty face turned red and hot. She had to turn her head to the side and look away, her little hand awkwardly playing with her hair. Lin Zichen chuckled and said earnestly, "Because you're beautiful." These words pierced right through Shun Qinghan's heart, filling her with joy and a blush of shyness. Zichun, it's my turn. Help me with my makeup." Seeing that Lin Zichen had just finished doing Shun Qinghan's makeup, Li Chuxin, who had been watching the other contestants sing, immediately turned around and ran over with a smile on her face. Lin Zichen said, "Come on, sit down." "Okay." Li Chuxin walked over to the mirror with a giggle and sat down. Once she sat down, Lin Zichen quickly began applying her makeup with skilled movements, while Shun Qinghan stood by to assist. It took less than 10 minutes. The makeup was done. He had used less than 50% of his effort, not as wholeheartedly as when he had applied makeup to Shun Qinghan. For Lin Zichen, he reserved the best of everything only for his parents and Shun Qinghan. As for others, he had to reduce the quality. Yet even so, the makeup he did for Li Chuxin still made her so happy that her face was full of smiles. "So beautiful, so pretty. Zichun, your makeup skills are amazing, even better than my mom." "No, it feels like you're even better than many professional makeup artists." Li Chuxin stood in front of the mirror, admiring herself, feeling incredibly beautiful, and kept exclaiming in amazement, full of praise for Lin Zichen, who had done her makeup. Lin Zichen, with high emotional intelligence, replied, "It's mainly because you're naturally pretty." Upon hearing this, Li Chuxin felt overjoyed, and then, with a rare display of high EQ, she said with a laugh, "That's true. I've been the class belle since I was young, but compared to your Qinghan, I'm still lacking a little bit." After saying that, she turned her gaze to Shun Qinghan, eyeing her delicate and pretty face, and couldn't help but start complimenting. "I just can't understand how there can be such a gorgeous fairy in this world. And the childhood sweetheart looks super handsome too. You two are a match made in heaven. I, Li Chuxin, am totally shipping you." Li Chuxin's stance had changed. She used to be crazy about Lindsay alone, but now she was smitten with Shun Qinghan too, and she was really into this pair of high school sweethearts. "No, you're too much." Li Chuxin's words were too blunt, and Shun Qinghan, feeling very embarrassed, quickly blushed and asked Li Chuxin to stop. However, she was just shy, and inside, she was actually very happy. She did not resist Li Chuxin's words. On the contrary, she liked it when others linked her and Lin Zichen together. While they were laughing and joking, the host's loud voice came from the stage. Thank you, contestant number 18, Huang Li, for an amazing performance. Next, let's invite contestant number 19, Gao Guang, to the stage to sing a foreign song, yesterday's song, and also contestants number 20, Li Chuxin and Shen Qinghan, please get ready off stage. Clap, clap, clap. The audience below the stage was applauding for the contestant making her exit, and the atmosphere was very lively. Hearing the host's recent announcement, Li Chuxin looked at Shen Qinghan excitedly and said, Han Han, it's coming. It's finally our turn to perform. We must dazzle everyone later and snatch the championship in one go. Ah yes, win the championship. Shen Qinghan's voice trembled slightly in response. At this moment, she was very nervous, unable to stop her hands and feet from shaking. The slender, shapely legs hidden under the skirt were already so weak that she could barely stand, ready to collapse onto the ground at any moment. Lin Zichen noticed her tension and immediately reached out to hold her hand, signaling her to relax. However, it did not have the desired effect. The next moment, Shen Qinghan's face suddenly changed color. Feeling a warmth between her legs, she uncontrollably wetted herself. In an instant, the skirt she wore was soaked in a large area. Xiao Xiao Chun. Shen Qinghan looked at Lin Zichen beside her with a bewildered face, her eyes already red and tears swirling on the verge of crying. Lin Zichen reacted very promptly and immediately pulled her hand to walk outside. At the same time, he picked up an open bottle of mineral water from the table and held it upside down, allowing the water to flow out and cover the traces Shen Qinghan had left behind. Zichen, where are you taking Han Han? It's almost our turn to go on stage. Li Chuxin was utterly confused when she saw Lin Zichen suddenly taking Shen Qinghan by the hand and heading out, spilling a bottle of mineral water all over the place. The others backstage were also a bit stunned by the scene in front of them. We'll be right back. Leaving behind just that phrase, Lin Zichen took Shen Qinghan and left the backstage, completely disappearing from Li Chuxin's sight. Coming out of the backstage, the two found an empty corner and stopped. Seeing that no one was around, Shen Qinghan couldn't hold back any longer and burst into tears, crying incessantly as if tears cost her nothing. What should we do? Xiao Chun. What should we do? It's almost time for Chu Xian and me to go on stage. Chu Xian and I have practiced so long. If it ends up being ruined because I wet my pants, Chu Xian will definitely hate me. Why am I so useless? By the end of her sentence, Shen Qinghan was sobbing so violently that she could hardly speak fluently. Ever since she started high school, she had become timid, introverted, and felt inferior. Aside from Lin Zichen, she hardly dared to interact with others. To change herself and become more confident, she mustered up the courage to sign up for the campus top 10 singers competition following Lin Zichen's suggestion. After practicing so earnestly for so long, she never expected to wet her pants from nervousness just before going on stage. Why am I so useless? I'm really so useless. The more Shen Qinghan thought about it, the more painful it became, feeling a heavy and uncomfortable pressure in her chest. She had already been struggling internally, and this incident of wetting her pants seemed like the last straw that broke the camel's back, causing her complete breakdown. Lin Zichen took out tissue to wipe her tears and comforted her softly. There, don't cry anymore, or your makeup will run. It's just wet pants. It's not a big problem. Don't panic. Don't rush. Don't be nervous. I'll think of a way to solve this right away. As he said these words, Lin Zichen's brain was spinning rapidly, trying to figure out how to resolve the current predicament. That's when from the corner of his eye, he spotted the curtain on the window up ahead. It was a brightly colored curtain, embroidered with various patterns. A solution came to mind. Lin Zichen, struck with inspiration, told Shen Qinghan to wait here for a moment and then ran back to the backstage at top speed to find a pair of scissors. Then he ran up to the tightly closed window and smashed the glass with a punch, pulling down that curtain fabric inside. With the pair of scissors in his hand and the curtain fabric, he intended to tailor a skirt for Shen Qinghan on the spot in half a minute. After a while, Shen Qinghan gradually calmed down. She stopped crying, though there was still some sniffles. Wiping her tears dry with her hand, she took deep breaths, trying her best to calm herself down. In front of her, Lin Zichen had already cut out the basic shape of the dress. Only the bottom hem and the straps were left to complete the entire dress. But at that moment, the host on stage was already calling for contestant number 20 to come up and sing. Backstage, Li Chuxin was so anxious she couldn't stand it, constantly making video calls to Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan. Lin Zichen was too busy to answer, not even lifting his head as he said to Shen Qinghan, "Han Han, pick up Chu Xian's video call." Shen Qinghan was a bit scared to answer, afraid of facing Li Chuxin. But quickly, she wiped her tears away, adjusted her emotions, and then picked up the phone to answer Li Chuxin's video call. "Han Han, it's our turn to go on stage. Where did you and Zichen run off to?" Li Chuxin looked extremely anxious on the video. Shen Qinghan's eyes darted around, her voice faltering as she said, "We are at." Before she could finish her sentence, Lin Zichen spoke up, "Han Han and I will be on stage immediately. Go up first and stall for a bit. We will be there within half a minute. Then hurry up." Li Chuxin didn't dwell too much on the reason the two had not returned yet. She hung up the video call after saying those words and rushed onto the stage by herself. Thinking whether a self-introduction or telling an interesting opening joke, she had to stall for half a minute on stage, waiting for Shen Qinghan to get back. Just as Li Chuxin got on stage, Lin Zichen finally finished tailoring the dress. He stuffed the dress in Shen Qinghan's arms, telling her, "It's ready. Hurry to the restroom and change into it. Just throw the dress and panties you take off by the restroom door. I'll come to pick them up." For some reason, Shen Qinghan was much calmer at this point, no longer nervous. Perhaps like how one wouldn't feel so sick after vomiting from drinking too much, she felt much better after urinating. Wanting to save more time and not to delay Li Chuxin further, she hesitated for a moment and then gathered the courage to boldly say, "No, that's not necessary. Xiao Chun, turn around. I'll just change right here." "Change right here?" Lin Zichen was a bit surprised to hear that, but said nothing, quickly turning his back to let her change dresses. Seeing him turn around, Shen Qinghan, with her face flushed, quickly stripped off her lower garments and put on the dress that had been tailored on the spot. Then she hurried towards the stage, tying the dress straps while on the run. Watching Shen Qinghan's retreating figure heading for the stage, Lin Zichen realized that she was not as weak as he thought. In some very urgent situations, with a bit of effort, she was still able to summon some courage. "I hope the performance goes smoothly," Lin Zichen murmured. Afterward, he turned around, picked up the dress and underwear Shen Qinghan had just removed, put them in a bag, and, carrying it, went back to watch Shen Qinghan and Li Chuxin's performance. At first, he was quite worried that Shen Qinghan, because of her nerves, would not sing well, but after listening for a while and realizing she was doing great, he breathed a sigh of relief. Otherwise, he really feared that she would be so struck by her performance that she'd become even more introverted, depressed, self-deprecating, and reclusive. Fortunately, none of that happened. A few minutes later, accompanied by thunderous applause, Shen Qinghan and Li Chuxin's singing came to an end. Both were panting, a smile of satisfaction with their finished performance on their faces. Then, under the long-lasting applause, they left the stage and walked towards the backstage. On the way back, Li Chuxin asked curiously, "Han Han, how come you suddenly changed your dress? Did you go out earlier just to change dresses?" Shen Qinghan's eyes dodged a little. The previous dress got dirty by accident. "Got dirty? Shen Qinghan didn't explain much, merely responding with a gentle sound. Fortunately, Li Chuxin didn't dwell on the matter and quickly steered the conversation towards their recent singing performance, smiling brightly as she grasped Shen Qinghan's hand and said, Han Han, we both performed incredibly well just now. The applause from the audience was louder than any other contestants, for sure. We're definitely going to place, and we might even take the championship in one fell swoop. Really, during her time on stage, Shun Qinghan's mind had actually been a blank, and she had sung the entire song purely on instinct, not really knowing whether she had sung well or not. Lin Zichen came up, smiling as he said, "You sang beautifully. I feel like the championship is pretty much in the bag." If Xiao Chun says it's a championship, then it must be a championship. Shun Qinghan beamed sweetly, her smile blooming like a jasmine flower, delicate and full of vibrancy. The two didn't stay backstage for too long, quickly gathering their things and heading towards the audience seats. The singing was over. It was time to head back and join their parents in the audience. About 10 minutes later, the results of the competition were announced. As expected, Shun Qinghan and Li Chuxin clinched the championship and happily embraced each other. Among them, Li Chuxin was so excited that she burst into tears, her eyes swimming with them. Yu, who came over to congratulate the two, immediately took out a tissue and offered it to Li Chuxin. Li Chuxin still remembered the last time Yu gave her a leftover bathroom tissue to wipe her tears. This time, she assumed Yu was up to his old tricks again and gave him a cold look, refusing his tissue. Shun Qinghan, on the other hand, didn't cry. She smiled throughout, just feeling a bit surreal, almost as if she were dreaming, never having imagined she would actually win the championship. Soon, many people came to congratulate Shun Qinghan. There were her parents, her homeroom teacher, her classmates, and even strangers she didn't know. From a young age, all of her merits had always been overshadowed by the halo that followed Lin Zichen around. Only at this moment did she truly feel what it was like to be the center of attention. And for the first time, she realized she was not worthless. Even under Lin Zichen's halo, she could still shine with a faint sparkle, not completely fading into obscurity. Who on earth did this? Who's so lacking in decency to smash a window and tear down and shred the curtains? Didn't they learn anything? From the backstage storeroom area, suddenly a chorus of loud cursing erupted. Hearing the string of curses, Lin Zichen's face couldn't help but show a bit of unease, feeling somewhat guilty. Seeing him like this, Shun Qinghan grasped the hem of her dress with her hand, looking at him with eyes full of affection as she said, "Xiao Chun, I love this dress so much. I'm going to cherish it for a lifetime." No sooner had she finished speaking than a gust of cold autumn wind blew in. Shun Qinghan's dress hem fluttered slightly, and she felt a chill on her lower body. Lin Zichen quickly took off his coat and tied it around her waist to keep her from getting cold. At the end of the event, to make amends for smashing the window and cutting up the curtains, the two of them volunteered to stay behind to clean up the stage. After spending over 10 minutes tidying up, Lin Zichen noticed several lines of text popping up in the void. Achievement unlocked. Collaboration 1000. Completed tasks 1,000 times in a cooperative setting. Biometric attributes acquired. Social animal. Social animal. Within a certain range, the more of your kind are near you, the higher your combat power will be. Han Han, your singing is so good. Do you want to go sing K with us after school? When I go to KTV, my family has a karaoke room. It's inside my house. Yeah, Yinling's family is really rich. She lives in a big villa with a karaoke room, a swimming pool, and even a badminton court. The day after the campus top 10 singers competition ended, during the lunch break, a female student, along with her best friend, walked up to Shun Qinghan and stopped, inviting her to sing K at her house with a friendly face. Shun Qinghan was somewhat flattered and wanted to go, but didn't know if she should. She never expected to be so warmly invited by her classmates. After all, everyone disliked her for being a relation higher. After hesitating for a long time, she finally decided to go to the girl's house to sing K, following Lin Zichen's suggestion and with his company. Accompanying them were also Li Chuxin and Yu. The girl who invited Shun Qinghan was very excited and thrilled to see Lin Zichen there. That's Shun Qinghan from class 1 of the first grade. Her singing is super nice, You really missed out by not going to the playground after school that day. She's so pretty, even with not a bit of makeup on her face. She looks so delicate. I heard not only is her singing great, but her painting skills are amazing too. The reason Class 1's Blackboard newspapers always win first place in the competitions is because of her. I used to think she was just a vase beside Lin Zichen, but it turns out she's actually talented and skilled. I feel like overall, she could even be the campus belle. In the days following the campus top 10 singers competition, whether it was on the way to school or on the way home after school, Shen Qinghan could always hear students discussing her in hushed tones. The content of the discussions was universally flattering. This continued for several days in a row. Gradually, Shen Qinghan was no longer as introverted as before when she walked on the school paths. She gained a bit of self-confidence. Hearing people discuss her, she no longer bowed her head in embarrassment but responded with a shy smile. Han Han, come on. Team member, believe in yourself. You can win. With 2 consecutive wins in sparring, Han Han, you're amazing. Shen Qinghan has made great progress. Everyone should learn from Qinghan. Even if we're not as physically strong as others, we can still win by using excellent martial arts skills to turn the tables on the martial stage. In the end-of-term exams, half a month later, Shen Qinghan successfully turned the tables and defeated Wen Yuntong and Chu Yushi, who were ranked ahead of her, with her excellent martial arts skills. Her grades in class improved from last to third from last in one fell swoop, wowing everyone and earning the praise of the homeroom teacher Han Yuanfeng. Seeing that her grades were no longer the last in class, Shen Qinghan was thrilled and a relieved smile spread across her face. She thought that from now on, no one in the class would attack her over being a relation higher. Seeing the smile on her face, Lin Zichen also smiled, thinking that she was finally getting better and not as insecure as before. Xiao Chun, how about I give you a ride on my bicycle for a fun ride out, just like when you used to give me rides to and from school in junior high? That bicycle hasn't been ridden in a long time. The tires are probably flat. It's no problem. We could just pump up the tires, right? If you really want to ride that badly, then let's ride. One day during the winter break of the first semester of senior high, just after having lunch at home, Shen Qinghan ran to Lin Zichen's house, saying she wanted to ride a bicycle and take him out for a spin. Ever since junior high, she'd wanted to ride a bicycle with Lin Zichen, but back then she didn't have the strength and couldn't pedal with an extra person, so Lin Zichen didn't allow it. Now that she could manage it, she absolutely had to experience the feeling of being the driver once. Shortly, the two headed back inside and pushed out the long and used bicycle. In the yard, they cleaned it and pumped the tires full of air. Looking at the bike in front of her, as shiny as if it had just been bought, Shen Qinghan couldn't wait to swing her leg over and hop on, then turned her head to hurry Lin Zichen, who was behind her. Xiao Chun, come on, get on. Okay, I'm coming. Don't hold onto the seat. It's unsafe. You need to put your hand around my waist, like how I hugged you when I sat on the rear seat of your bike in junior high. That's the safe way. Shen Qinghan reminded him with a gentle warning. After listening, Lin Zichen didn't say anything and just did as she suggested, stretching out his hands to hug her waist. Feeling the touch on her lower abdomen, Shen Qinghan's heartbeat sped up a bit, her fair cheeks tinged with red. Then, with a forceful push of her lower legs, she pedaled off towards the suburban roads with Lin Zichen in tow. There were fewer cars there and fewer traffic lights, making the ride feel freer. Xiao Chun, that forest over there looks so beautiful. Let's climb up a tree for a better view and take some nice photos, Shen Qinghan suggested as they stopped in front of a large tree on the roadside midway through their ride. Lin Zichen had no objections. He was all ears to her. After stopping the bike, Shen Qinghan stuffed her phone in her pocket and immediately began climbing the tree without a word. Since it wasn't cold during the winter break in the south, she was wearing a blue lace skirt and a pair of warm white stockings that day. As she climbed up in front of Lin Zichen, she inadvertently flashed him. Though she was wearing safety shorts and flashing wasn't really a big deal, Lin Zichen still consciously moved to the other side of the tree, avoiding the scene laid out before him. In just a moment, both of them were standing a few meters high on a tree branch. Shen Qinghan boldly let go of the tree trunk, took out her phone, and started taking pictures of the distant forest. Being a student of the martial arts class, she practiced tree climbing often during the school's wilderness survival courses, so she was quite stable on the tree and wasn't afraid of falling. Just then, a breeze blew by, whipping Shun Qinghan's smooth hair into a dance. Lin Zichen found the girl before him so captivating at that moment that he too took out his phone and began taking pictures of her. I don't know how long passed. Both put away their phones. No more photographs were taken. Shun Qinghan, gazing at the distant scenery, suddenly spoke up. Xiao Chun, in both junior high and senior high, I got into the same school and the same class as you because of our connection. I can't keep doing this. I can't always rely on you. As she said this, she turned her head to look at Lin Zichen next to her, her eyes firm with resolve. In 2.5 years, I will definitely get into the same university as you by my own merit. MHM, I believe in you. Lin Zichen responded trustingly, without a second thought. He noticed that Shun Qinghan seemed much more confident after winning first place in the school's top 10 singers competition, as well as scoring a double win in the end-of-term martial arts sparring. A contrast to the insecure, timid, and shy Shun Qinghan he knew before the winter break. He liked this new Shun Qinghan better, the one with a bit more self-confidence, a more resolute heart, and an increasingly cheerful personality.